morning, afternoon.
What's up, guys?
How's it going, guys?
Good, Will, good.
All good.
My computer's being very loud, so if you guys hear it, my bad.
Looks like a crazy night in the crypto world.
Yeah, I mean, the price action was kind of expected. I'm not gonna lie. It's something that we've been discussing, and I think just people are obviously doing what they do every time there's a rundown that they panic and they freak out because it dropped down in price. I mean, I'll tell you guys this: like again, no victory laps, no victory laps. But I hit the price right on the nose.
You hit it in December.
I can't make this stuff up. I had people telling me like, "Oh yeah, if it breaks 20K, it's all over." I was just like, bro, like it's gonna come down and hit my price, which is exactly what it did. This is just again, guys, it's just looking at liquidity, where liquidity lies, and where they, where their intention is to go with price. These are some big buy ups here in the zone, and this is exactly what I was expecting, is they were going to come down and hit this lower liquidity from where they shifted and capture that. There are some concerning things here, which I know a lot of traders will look at, and that concern is the lower low, obviously, right? It's a very concerning situation, but I look at it more as an ABC move, which means break the low, entice the selling, get back above the previous high. Sorry about any outside noise, guys. I live in Vegas, so there's gonna be airplanes, windows open. Get back above the previous price zone and then shift back up, right? Really, this is again my expectations from this price zone. Could I be wrong? Sure. Where would that move be invalidated? It would be invalidated and this is what I'm expecting to do, is come up and hit this 21,286. If they can get up here and start rejecting and come back down to revisit this price zone, I don't expect this. I expect this to break, right? And for this to kind of like be that top position for the market if that happens. Other than that, I'm expecting some kind of big move later on. Maybe we just kind of consolidate the low here for a little bit, or we start moving pretty quickly back up here. And again, expectations are that they start trying to break back for the high. One area we got to watch, especially with daily right now, it's not really showing on the weekly, is we have to watch this upper zone. So let me go back to the daily real quick, which is right up here. So we have to watch that liquidity zone on the daily. That would be indicating some pretty bad stuff. I don't really see a head and shoulders forming here. I know some of you will be like, well, what about this? Well, this is lower, right? So I don't really see a head and shoulders forming from this pattern on the daily, but they could definitely reject here too, right? These are kind of the zones that I'm watching for price to kind of reverse back up and then kind of decide whether it wants to go deeper or whether it wants to break out. I would expect that they're going to move on this quickly. They're going to consolidate here probably in the coming week while the FUDs, being kind of thrown out there. And I say FUD, I hate that word. I really, really hate that word. But all the negative news, we'll go that direction with the conversation. All the negative news is filtering. People are panicking. People are selling the lows again, like they normally do, right? And I don't mean the lows as if price can't go lower. I mean, where price is consolidating, if you're selling where price is consolidating, you are doing this wrong, guys. You want to sell before the price action takes place. This means while hype is going on, while people are excited, this is where you sell. And this is what I told you. I told you guys, sell up here. Again, I didn't directly tell you that because I can't really legally tell you that, but I gave you every indication that price was going to break down in this zone. Price hit, came up, retested the same high. I showed you guys this, and then I showed you the rejection, and I showed you the bearish div, and the bearish div played out. We're now hitting the 30 on the daily, right? And the daily is bouncing off the 30. Last time, you know, we hit the 30 on the daily and broke it just like we did over here. We kind of bounced back up, consolidated for a while, and then broke out. And really, that's expectations for price here. Now, if you guys go back to my previous video, which I do have on my YouTube now, so they're not deleted anymore. This is the price zone I gave you guys between here and here. That was the exact price I told you price would bounce. And really, did I take along here? Hell no, I'm not bullish on the market. But could you have taken along here? 100% you could have. 100% you could have. Again, this bounced right on the 200-day MA, which the 200-day MA at the time was not lining up with my price, right? But I knew where price was going. I didn't have to use the moving average to tell me that. And again, you guys are like, what do you mean you knew? Yada, yada. Well, how did you tell? There's lots of different ways to do it. You can simply take a fib, right? And we took a fib from the high to the low. You got your 50. Where's your 50? Where's your 50 price? Anybody?
About the 19.
It's at 19.8. Right? I took it a little bit lower, but it's 19.8. That's your 50. You could have taken along at 19.8 and you'd be in the positive right now. Why is the 50 significant? Anybody? Really, if I line this up better, it'll probably be a little bit lower. Right about there. 19,756. Why is this zone on the Fibonacci important for price?
Point of control.
Yeah, it can be considered a point of control. That's 100% one of the reasons. What's the other reason? What's the strongest zone in the Fibonacci? It's the 50. It's the strongest resistance and strongest support. Once you get through the 50, aka where they broke above right here, took off, you then come back to retest the 50, and then price decides, does price want to break the 50 or does price want to break out from the 50, right? And we're looking at this price zone specifically. We're not going, hey guys, we're going to 48K in 2 weeks. We're not going, hey guys, we're going to 3K in the next 2 weeks. We are looking at where price is consolidating. And the price is consolidating in a high and a low of a current price zone. We're not looking up here. We're not looking down here. We're looking at where price has a high and where price has a low. It's in here. At this point, at this very point, everybody in here needs to get their heads out of the clouds, all right? There's no clouds. There's only price. Follow what price is telling you. Price told me that we were going to see money come back to here and retest. Now price is holding, right? Now we have to see if price will continue to hold, aka consolidate the zone. I expect that they do. We're going to see something similar to this, right? Some prices, some pullbacks, some prices, but we're going to hold the low here. And if we hold this low here, this 50, come back and keep consolidating here, then we're in a good position to continue forward in price. This is why you never speculate higher highs. You look where price can go based on previous tops, and you look at where price can pull back to based on our high and our low and our fib in the middle, or a point of control, or a 50, right? All those things line up. Those are the most important parts of the chart. When you start getting significant price action, expect prices to be retested, expect liquidity to come back and retest previous liquidity. Now, a lot of people, again, they look at this as a break-in structure because they're looking at it from this perspective, right? They're like, okay, we broke up here, we consolidated, we broke structure. We held, right? We held structure and we broke structure again. That's what people are looking at. And then they're like, all right, we held structure, and then we broke structure again. And people are looking at this breakdown from only this perspective. They're ignoring the previous price action over here. This is where the other structure is contained. And this is where we're being supported. We're being supported by price over here. It's not about this anymore. This was just all noise. Do you guys understand that? Does anybody not understand what I mean by this is all noise? I can describe this better. That's why I'm asking.
That's the smaller picture.
This is the smaller picture. Exactly. You got to ignore the smaller picture and look where price consolidated previously. And you're probably like, why would you do that? Because this is telling you where liquidity lies. Liquidity lied over here, right? This is all just noise to entice you to buy highs. That's all it was. I don't know if anybody remembers. I don't know if anybody remember. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me just a second. Let's go to my profile real quick. I want to show you guys something when I post things. I want you to understand what I'm doing here. So does anyone remember this post?
Yep.
What am I identifying here?
Tops, local tops.
I'm identifying local tops, right? And I could do the same thing on local bottoms. Really, this is just a blip in the bottom, right? This is the bottom, and I don't mean bottom of market. I mean local bottom. There's a key difference between somebody calling this is the bottom of the market, guys, and this is a local bottom, right? Most price action for a low is happening in this price zone, not here. So I want you guys to understand that. Now, here's the other key part I want to point out here. Let me find it. Let me find it. Let me find it. Sorry, guys, I post a lot every day. This was the discussion we had, right? Previous to the drop. And what did I tell you guys? I said the breakout would be the breakdown. Where did the breakdown line up with? Remember the Fibonacci we just looked at? Did the breakdown not line up with the Fibonacci 50?
Yep.
Just by what we looked at. 19,573. Where did we hit? 19,573. Where did we bounce? 19,575. I was off by, $20, $40. You wouldn't have got liquidated taking along here, I'll tell you that. Even at a high leverage, if you'd have took that position. Now, again, it doesn't mean go and play alpha off the calls I make. It just shows you that price action works. Now, there was one key post I wanted to find in here specifically. Sorry, guys, I know it's taking a little bit. I want you guys to understand the move and understand what I pointed out here because I don't have that chart anymore. So what am I identifying here? Anybody? What's that?
Price ranges and zones.
Price zones? But what part of the zone am I identifying? So I'm identifying premium area highs. They're probably like, what do you mean by premium area highs? Where did price reverse on each push? 1, reverse, 2, reverse, 3, reverse. Where did price push on each breakout? 1, push, 2, push, 3, push. You guys see how price kind of lines up with the drawdown?
How is that so ridiculously obvious?
It's really obvious now, right? It's really obvious now.
Oh,
But-
hindsight's great.
A lot of people didn't see this coming. They did not see this coming. And where did price reverse to, guys? Just below the previous pushes. Huh, look at that. Dropped right below it. Where's it consolidating and bouncing from? Previous pushes. This was retail FOMO. This was the market maker enticing. Market maker captured all that price and came back to where they started. Selling into you, selling into you, selling into you. Do you guys kind of understand it now? Does anybody not
Yeah.
understand this? There's no embarrassment here, guys. There's no shame. If you don't understand, let me know. I'll explain it more. I do this stuff daily for you guys. I point this stuff out for you guys daily. And this is why I tell you, don't buy the highs, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, 30, everybody saying 30K, 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 48K, 70K, 100K, 200K. Stop worrying about missing out. Understand where price is going. Now, what would be the key thing to be doing in this zone we're at right now? Well, if you're bearish like me, you'll be looking for deals, right? So, hey, I'm bearish. Price could break down more, could get wrecked worse. But should I go long here? Well, it depends on your outlook. If you think price is going to break out and you're a bull, hey, take a long. If you're not, if you're a little bit of a skeptic of price action, hey, look at some long-term quality projects and hey, we got a nice pullback, buy into them. Lots of projects are currently have pulled back to where they started at the beginning of this move. Tons of them have. I can tell you Algo, I think, was sitting between 15 and 16 cents. It's currently sitting at 18 cents. It's basically right back where it started. You have to understand liquidity, guys. It's at the end of the day. I know it's tough. I know it looks tough. It looks hard. It looks like, you know, I'm some kind of magical wizard. I'm not. I don't get emotional in this game. That's it. I don't bring emotion into winning or losing money. I look at price truly for what it is, and I understand what they're trying to do, and I try to identify the patterns. When I show you guys this right here, this isn't me guessing. Again, it's not me, you know, telling you guys, hey, the world's going to end. It's literally me looking at the pattern and understanding what the market makers' intentions are here. Look, breakout, where did they come back to? They found perfect support on the 2. Okay, perfect support right on top of previous price action. Where are they going to go next? They're going to push again. They're going to push again. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's just price action playing itself out. Now we're holding here again, right? We are holding here. So we just have to continue to watch price action in the zone. Again, if you guys are bulls, that's okay. That's perfectly okay to be a bull. It's perfectly okay to be a bear. Just understand that how your approach should be bull or bear. What's up? Oh, I just might accidentally unload. So just understand your approach, bull or bear. Okay. Have a plan, have a strategy. Don't buy highs. Don't buy highs. When I tell you guys it's highs, it's highs. I'm not at all trying to be like, oh, I'm a bear, yada, yada. No, it's highs. I identify the high. I watch price action from there. I sell into the high, just like the market maker is, and I pick it back up for cheaper. That's it. Again, sounds crazy. Sounds like, man, you know so much and we know so little. No, you can learn the same stuff. Any skill set, any IQ, like I don't care what any of that is. Like anybody can learn this stuff, guys. No, I think it's highly doubtful we'll see rallies off of bailouts right now. The market is very fearful where price sits, and that's something we're going to be discussing too. So the Fed itself also is in a hard spot. We're going to talk about that also, but they're in a 2-to-1 situation, and 2 being negative, 1 being positive. And we're going to discuss kind of what my thoughts are on like how the positive could occur and what the 2 negatives are for what could happen with the Fed. I know a lot of people say, oh, the Fed doesn't matter. The market just does what it wants. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Did crypto and stock markets drop pretty much the same time? Anybody?
Yes, they did pretty much.
Yeah, they did. You have to understand these assets are moving together. Stop believing BS from people. And some of you are like, well, crypto ran up well before. Yes, it ran before the stock. Sometimes they lag. But they are moving together because the same liquidity that is being pushed into crypto is the same liquidity that is being pushed into stock markets. There are market makers on both sides. There are. Now, some of these market makers getting squashed out. Yes. Right. Like you got Silvergate, you got a couple other ones that are also SVB, right? That's another one that's getting squashed out. Now, does that mean crypto's dead? No, no, it doesn't. I don't believe that for a second, guys. Does that mean USDC is dead? We'll see on that one. That's a tough one to really make out because again, it's about trust, right? And if people don't trust your asset, are they really going to use it? That's what it is at the end of the day. It's not about can USDC cover it, can Coinbase cover it, will everything be okay? No, there are a lot of customers who have, once they've seen these bad things happen, they will not come back. They will just fully exit their positions from your asset and not touch it again. Which really, I'm going to be real with you guys, FUD or not, that's what I think a lot of you should do. If USDC repegs to $1, I think you should exit USDC and look for another asset to get into. I know you guys asked me, what one do you recommend? Yada, yada. Look, at the end of the day, all I've used is USDT. I'm not going to tell you guys what to put your money in. And that's not an insinuation of me playing 4D chess and trying to trick you into buying USDT. I could care less what you buy. I'm just telling you, I've used USDT for a long time. They've been around a long time and they've been flooded every single cycle, and yet they still survive. USDC is a new asset. We have to see it mature first. And if it matures and survives, hey, great. We've now got another stable coin we can probably play with. But until I see that, I'm just not convinced to buy. I'm not going to touch USDC. Hey, Coinbase gets wrecked. Guess what? I'm buying. Because I don't think Coinbase is going to go under either, but this USDC debacle could cause if it gets bad enough, a escapade into a Coinbase sell-off. And if coin gets sold off again, I'll buy it. I'll buy into the noise. But these are things that you have to watch out for. Again, crypto and SPX and all these other ones all fell pretty much same time. Did one rally before the other? Sure. And that can happen. Again, one could lag behind the other. Why? Why would there be a lagging between stock markets and crypto?
The same liquidity being washed around.
Same liquidity being washed around. Also, what is the risk of crypto versus the risk of the stock market? Is it higher or is it lower?
It's higher.
It's higher, right? So if people are extra bullish, what are they going to go for first?
Higher volatility asset.
Higher volatility asset, aka the higher risk play. So crypto moved first because they wanted to entice high risk degens into the market. And were they able to do that?
Absolutely.
100%. Because once they push crypto, guess what moves after? Tech, stock markets. Think about it, guys. These guys aren't dumb. They know what they're doing. They fully know what they're doing. They push crypto to get stock markets pushing. If stock markets look extra bearish, what do? They pump a little liquidity into crypto, entice me. Oh, yeah, look, crypto's moving. Oh, we got to get into tech. We got to get ahead of this before it starts moving. They all get ahead. And where are they getting ahead at? They're getting ahead at the highs. They're buying the highs of the move. So while you're buying into this, they're selling into you and then they're picking up stocks. And then what happens? Oh, bad news, everybody. We just hit a resistance. Not A, this bank collapsed. Not A, the world's going under. Not A, there's some kind of pandemic. It's bad news, everybody. We hit a resistance. That's the way you need to look at price. Stop looking at price from news. News is lagging. News follows price. Did SVB collapse happen up here? Did it happen up here? Anybody?
No.
Where did it come up in the chart? Here.
At 19.5.
Where are we at in price? Think about it. Think about it. Why would bad news come in at the bottom? Again, I'm not saying bottom of the market. I'm saying bottom of the move. Please understand what I'm saying. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. The bottom of the current move, as where I saw it, right, well ahead of the drop. That is where bad news came in. Is price reacting to this bad news? Have we laid down again?
No, it jumped up this morning.
No, it popped up this morning. Which is telling me that, hey, maybe Monday they come out with some kind of BS to pump the markets again. Now, what would be the intention of pumping the markets?
Piss off the Fed.
Nope. Nope. Think deeper. What would be
Re-
if these banks are in bad positions? What would be their
recover
reasoning?
any, recover losses.
Recover losses. So if we're looking to recover losses, are we going to break out to new all-time highs?
Nope. We're just gonna pump up a little bit just to go back down. That's it.
They're going to use retail's exit liquidity again. I am telling you guys well ahead of these moves, guys. I'm just being real. I'm not the type to sugarcoat this shit. I'm just not. Like if you are looking for sugarcoating, there's tons of people in the space you can follow. They got bulls on their pictures and everything else. If you come here, you're looking for realism. Like I'm going to give you the reality of things and the way I see them. Again, my viewpoints. I sit in a lot of these spaces, and I'm telling you, rather than watching TV or listening to my favorite music every day, I sit in these spaces for hours and hours and hours absorbing other people's knowledge and just listening to what people have to say and listening to actual logical conversations. And we're talking like full work days. I'm listening well after when I'm supposed to be relaxing at the end of my day. I'm still listening. I do everything I can to keep on educating myself, as you guys should do too. I know you're like, well, I need a break. Look, you can get a break when you retire. Until then, you need to build wealth. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't build wealth till you retire, you are going to be broke when you retire. And if you think life is hard now, it's going to be way worse when you retire. And if you have kids, it's going to be worse for them too. I'm just being real with you, right? I'm not the type to sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to tell you guys, hey, out forever. I'm not going to tell you guys all this other stuff. Like I'm going to tell you how things are looking. And you know, that opportunity is presenting itself as it has been. It's just a matter of taking opportunity. And I'm telling you, like right now, there are a lot of positions that were over leveraged, are being exposed, and are looking to gather exit liquidity. I've been looking at BlackRock's investments. I know like there's a lot of conversation around this or that. And, you know, oh, that's only $1 billion there. That's only $2 billion there. That's only $3 billion. Look, those billions add up. And they've made a lot of over leveraged positions. I am telling you, if you dig deep on their books, they are over leveraged on many of these places that are now going under. And they're $1 trillion company. Don't get me wrong. You're like, oh, well, they only got $1 billion out there. Only got $1 billion out there. Look, when you start getting a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 billion, that starts eating into what you can actually recover for your investors. These are things that you guys should really be looking into. Dig into these bigger players and where their money is. I mean, even the one I pointed out, you know, their default on the loan. It's like, oh, it's only 562 million. They're trillion. Okay. Those kind of moves, when you default on loans, look bad to banks. How are you going to borrow money? Doesn't matter if it's 560. Look, you may not see 562 million as a $1 trillion company as a lot, but a bank will, because they have to recover those funds if you default on them. And if you refuse to pay them, how are they going to recover those funds? If you're constantly using that as a way to renegotiate interest rates, will they want to deal with you if you agreed to an original interest rate, but you hold them hostage by not willing to pay your loans until they renegotiate your interest lower? No, they won't loan you again. They'll let you continue to loan. They'll probably give you a lower interest rate. But if you come to them again, like, hey, can I borrow some money for this? They're going to like, figure it out with another bank. We're not dealing with you. That's what we have to understand. Like these are bad things on your reputation as a company. And it also looks bad from the perspective that you at one point agreed to an interest rate, right? You were able to pay it. You were okay with paying it. And now you don't feel that you can do so. Does that mean that you're financially stable? No, it doesn't. Not from a bank's perspective. And that's what you have to understand too. Don't get caught up in the noise. If you take out a loan that you can no longer pay back, the bank will remember that. That's not something that will go away. And we're talking big institutions. I mean, look at how they look at retail. You'd be lucky, a lot right now to get a loan for a car. And you're probably like, well, my credit's good. Yes, some of you have good credit. Some of you may not. But I'm telling you, these banks are going to get more and more stringent on credit allowance and what they're actually giving out dollar-wise for your income to debt ratios. I guarantee that's going to go down. Because in 2021, I bet you could have got an $80,000 car on an $80,000 paycheck. But I bet you right now in 2023, you're probably getting a $60,000 car and an $80,000 paycheck, because they're lowering the amount they're going to allow you to borrow, even though interest rates are higher. Why would they do that? Anybody?
To minimize
Because-
the risk.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
lowering their risk without
Mm.
without exposing that they're scared of risk right now. They're just lowering the amount you can borrow. And then after they get so far along where it's like, okay, I got so many people defaulting, what happens to borrowing then? Now borrowing is even more stringent. Now getting money is even harder for your average person. Now the consumer is wrecked. Why? What's our current debt ratio in the US?
Well, the consumer has already run up all their credit.
They've ran up all their credit. We are at all-time highs for credit borrowing right now. That is a very concerning situation. You think that's just going to keep going up?
It is for the government.
I'm talking about for retail.
Well, the debt, the national debt, is going to devalue our dollar eventually, and that's why you're seeing this inflation.
Yep. Yeah. It already has. That's what inflation is. Inflation is a devaluing of the dollar. So the point being is that we're going to see less and less people being able to and currently running up debt. I think the debt situation is kind of going to start getting under control. I think even banks loaning the startups, because that was SVB. SVB, I think somebody pointed out today in one of the spaces, held out almost 90% of startup capital. So are we going to be coming up with new startup projects or new startup companies? Probably a lot less. Because why? Because everybody's going to flee to the top 5 banks, and those guys ain't going to loan to any startup. And that's where all the liquidity is going to be. I have some USDT, Tyler. That's all I've ever really bought. I've told you guys this previously. It's I don't think USDT will go under. Could they be a Ponzi? Sure, but they've been if they are a Ponzi, they've been a Ponzi for multiple years. They got my trust. There's just certain things in crypto that you're never going to be able to find, and that's, you know, what do they have on the books? What's their asset allocation? You know, and what the truth is behind things. That's the difference between crypto and stock markets. Stock markets have to be a lot more transparent. Everything has to be out in the open as far as your finances. And crypto, it's just there's a lot of hidden factors that you just probably will never find out, to be honest with you. With crypto, it's more about trust in time as opposed to trust in what they say, because everything in crypto is about what they say. Always watch what they do, not what they say. It's just like stock companies, right? Like people keep saying, "Oh, the stock's going to bounce back up. We're going to see 4,700 SPY at it." Listen, go look at insider trading, guys. These companies are selling their own stocks at the lows. Who knows a company better than the company? If a company is selling its own stock at the lows, does that mean the company has confidence that they are going to build and continue to be able to make it through this bear? Or are
No.
they expecting lower valuation? They're expecting lower valuations of their company. And if your company gets a lower valuation, what happens to your stock price?
Tanks.
it follows the valuation. Which means that if we had a PE of 44 before, if your company gets valued lower, that PE drops with your company. So let's say your company was 40 billion valuation, now it's 20 billion valuation, or 20 billion valuation. What do you think happens if you were sitting at a 40 PE at that point? You now drop to a 20 PE. If you were sitting at a 60 PE, it's even more. Understand that, like these, and PE isn't measured on billions, by the way. It's a measure factor of profits and earnings, right? But when you look at it from those perspectives, as far as stocks and everything else, it's really concerning that these companies are selling out of their own positions. It's very concerning. I don't like to see it, and it's one of my biggest concerns currently, because it really makes me question the stock. I mean, think about Elon. Look, let's come over to Tesla. Let's use Tesla as an example real quick. Elon sold this dump. He sold this dump. So does that build confidence that Elon feels bullish on Tesla? As in he market sold this down, guys. Like just billions into the market, flood it, just sell them off. So does he think his company is valued to go all the way up here to like 951 from here, or 700? Or what's he expecting? Anybody?
I think more competition, he can't go higher.
He's expecting lower valuations. That's what he's expecting. There's no way somebody market sells like that and then, doesn't expect lower valuations. This isn't just institutions selling out. This is him selling out of his own company. That's called insider trading, basically. They know what's going on interior wise. Again, I mean, think about, we've been talking about the Tesla truck since what? 2020, 2019. Do we have one yet? No, we don't. We've been sitting here looking at the Tesla, our what is it? Commercial 18-wheeler truck. Do you guys know how many they bid? The electric ones?
I don't think they're out yet, bro.
No, they're out.
3.
I think they made 30 or something like that in total. And I think most of them are for Coca-Cola. And I think they said that they only allow them to go 100 miles. An 18-wheeler that can only do 100 miles. Does anybody know the average distance on an 18-wheeler when they're carrying things across country?
500-600.
More like 5. Yeah.
You're going to stop 5 or 6 times on your route to your destination?
How long does it take to charge those things too?
Yeah, I would imagine a massive amount of time. Those are some pretty big batteries to be towing that kind of load. Not only that, did you guys know that they were leaking coolant? All of them.
What was that? Can you repeat that?
They're all leaking coolant.
Oh,
What do you think the coolant is, since they're not gas powered motors?
glycol?
Yeah,
For the battery.
Coolant for the batteries.
Oh,
So what do you think's happening to the batteries if the coolant's leaking?
They're gonna
Batteries
overheat, fire.
Yeah, they could literally catch on fire. So what I think is happening is I think they have a design flaw in those 18-wheelers. And I think that this is going to turn out bad. I really do. I'm watching these gaps, and this is something I'm going to continue to watch. And for some of you are like, well, I don't see the gaps. What are you talking about? It's on the daily, guys. Like, there's a lot of gaps on here. And I think that a lot of this price gets recovered. And I think that, currently with what's going on in Tesla, it makes sense why he sold. And that price valuations could come down significantly on Tesla. Again, you have to look at what's going on in the companies, guys. You have to.
Also, the 4 hour.
What's that?
I'm sorry to cut you off, Will.
There you go.
I think it's on a 4 hour too. You see a lot of gaps.
Yeah, I don't really weigh the 4 hour as much. I know there's gaps on the 4 hour, but typically daily, weekly, monthly are your better time frame for gaps. And we've been recovering daily time frame gaps, which makes me think that we'll probably end up recovering other daily time frame gaps, right? Which would bring us pretty low in price. That's maybe like 40. That's not possible. Do you guys remember the stock split? Do you know what $40 in valuation would be right now with the stock split? Before the stock split, it'd be like $300-400. You wouldn't be saying that if Tesla went from $2,000 to $400. But people are saying that now because Tesla's going from 400 to 42. You got to think logically, right? A cut down that big is not that big. It's really not. And really the price action, the reason that it supports itself is if you look here, here's your 2020 pullback. Here's your move off your 2020 pullback. Tesla basically out of the CVID, and this is going on YouTube, so I have to be careful. Obviously for the group, the recording is. So if you look here, that's 859% return. It's simply being recovered. That's it. And the dip's all the way down here. You're not even recovering the whole thing. Like if you were to cover the whole thing, you're coming all the way down to $23 a share. You're coming up above the previous recovery. Now, does that mean that all happens now? Could I be wrong? 100%. Both directions, 100%. I could be wrong. And this right here may not happen now. But we have a gap here, which is where we are going back to. If we break this gap, I am pretty much on the boat that we're going to come all the way down here to this gap. I'm just watching it. That's it at the end of the day. Not worth the time and effort, not worth the buy. I sold up here at 2.8. I announced I sold up here at 2.8. I told other people, hey, do what you do, but this might be a good time to take profit. And if you did, and if you're super bullish, you could buy in right here. But guess what? You saved yourself a lot of money on that drawdown. I'll tell you that. Even if you're a bull, that's 20%. You didn't take the haircut. Even if price continues down, you still save 20% up here. Think about it from that perspective. Even if you think I'm wrong, which I am okay with, you save 20% by taking what I told you and moving on it. Nobody can deny that. Price proved that. Moving into, again, Meta. I told you guys this is where I think the high is, and we can see they are distributing this high, guys. For sure, this high is getting distributed. We basically got to stall out. They pushed back up, and we're looking to like really just stall this zone. And I think Meta's going to come back down. I think it's going to for sure come back down. Two areas I'd be watching would be here and here. If you're bullish on Meta, wait for the pullback. It's going to happen. I think we're going to retest these lows. And if we can hold this low, this is great. Price will probably shift off of this. Doesn't mean moon tomorrow. It might take a year or two before price actually builds back up. But I'm expecting a lot of pullbacks in a lot of these stocks. Again, it's been a situation where they built the bullishness, and now they're selling into it, right? They're selling into the buyers. And that's really what people have to understand when you're building liquidity, right? You're doing one of two things as a market maker. You're building yourself out of a position, right? You're basically selling to all, you're buying up price, then you're selling to all the people wanting to buy once you've created the momentum. And then eventually the momentum can't outweigh the selling, right? And then the selling starts to sell back into those buyers until the buyers are depleted. And the depletion of the buyers is your low, right? That's where price typically bounces. And this is why support and resistance is so great, because once you create that depletion of buyers, you can basically take that as your move up, right? Or sorry, of your buyers. Yeah. So of your buyers. So you're pushing into those buyers essentially. A lot of people say sellers, 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 sellers. Do you know who's selling us when price comes back? Who's selling that? Anybody?
Market maker.
The market maker is selling that, not retail. It's not retail doing that. The market maker is pushing price. It's creating this fictitious price wall where price can exceed, and buyers eventually get exhausted. Who are the buyers?
Retail. Us.
It's retail. This is why buying high and selling low is stupid. Because when the market maker is done selling, you will start to see the rebound on the support, right? And who's selling down here for the market maker to buy?
It's us.
Us, retail. We're the ones selling down here. We are selling the reversal move for the market maker to push price up again. Again, the market maker is not going to break us out. The market maker will do the same thing. So if the market maker pulls back to here and buys into ourselves at the low and gets price to go, and we continue to buy, the market maker continues to sell, sell, sell. If we can break above, guess what? Market maker might entice a little more buying, buy. And then the market maker is going to sell, sell, sell. That's all it is at the end of the day. You just have to understand the price action movement. This is why you're looking for ups, you're looking for downs, you're looking for supports. I'm not telling you guys, hey, we're going here tomorrow. I'm telling you guys, hey, this is the only direction for meta. I'm telling you, there's two. There's support 1, which is the first one you should be watching, and there's support 2. Where should you be looking to buy if you are trying to get into meta?
Like the second leg down.
Support too.
Either one. Either
Yeah,
one.
you could be DCAing in.
Yeah. You could 100% be DCAing this. It's just either way, you're buying the support. You're buying the support. I cannot fault you for buying both of these zones. Why? Because you're buying the support. You're not buying resistance. Resistance buying is stupid. It's dumb. I can't say it enough. I say it at every meeting. It's so dumb. Look, Bitcoin. Support, right? Support. If price gets up here, resistance. What do? They broke through the resistance. So what do we wait for? A retest of the support. You don't go, oh my God, we're for 30K, 50K, 100K. And I hate to say it that way, guys, but like, it just irritates me when I see people on Twitter just sitting there screaming same price. And it's like, dude, how have you guys not learned yet? How is retail not like, and I do get it to a degree. I do to a degree. Like, I get it. Retail as a whole are not the smartest creatures. I get that. I was one of the sheep that would just follow in the moves. But over time, if you've been in this space long enough, and I've seen people that have been in space for multiple years and they're still doing it. And I'm just like, dude, you've been in here too long to be doing this. Like, you are working your whole life to get wrecked because you keep buying highs. Buy support. You could buy here. You could buy here if you're bullish on Bitcoin. And guess what? If Bitcoin breaks again, just look for the next support. That's it. Buy the support. If price continues to drop, guess what? Buy support. that's basically it at the end of the day, guys. Like it's not at all hard. This game is not hard to play. It's really not. It's a game. It's a game. It's a casino with written rules and instructions. Yet everybody looks at the instructions, says, I don't want to read all that, and they just go right in and start playing.
Just like the casino, the market is rigged.
Kind of, sort of, but not really, right? They show you what to do when you come into the casino, right? You know what the odds are on each portion of the casino. You know your odds on the table are probably like 1 to 10. Your odds on the slot machine are probably like 5 and 10. Your odds on spin the wheel are probably 8 and 10. So when you look at odds and statistics, you have to look at these things specifically, right? You go with the higher odd plays. What are the higher odd plays when it comes to crypto? For me, it's been macro. It's been the macro move high and macro move low. It's been identifying price at the highs and identifying price at the lows and taking the move out the highs and taking the move out the lows. I don't play the chop. I don't play this game. I don't. This is not. Now, can I identify these? Yes, I did identify them. But is it worth my effort? My risk to reward is higher playing in here, guys. That's my risk to reward is higher. Where's my best odds? It's here and here. It's to take the reversal at the high. It's to take the reversal at the low. Those are my best odd plays. Can I lose playing these sides of the trade? Sure, 100%. Price can break out against me, definitely. If we're sitting here and doing this, for instance, with price, eventually what's going to happen?
Break down or break out.
Yeah, eventually price will move against me if I'm shorting here. Eventually price may move against me if I'm longing here. Yeah, it's going to happen. You're going to catch a losing trade. But how many winning trades did I catch in between? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost 1 in 5. Who cares? Sucks. I lost, but hey, I won more than I lost. I took more liquidity from the market than the market took from me. That's all it is at the end of the day. It seems harder than it is. Just don't overcomplicate it. That's it. It's a very simple game. If you want to play it in a simple way. If you want to play it in a harder way, play the chop. Right? You're lessening your odds. You're playing the craps table. I'm going to go all in on black. Doesn't make any sense. But again, can it be played 100%? There's plenty of really good scalpers out there. Tons of them. I'm just really good personally. And I tell you guys this personally at macro highs and macro lows of the current price zone. Really good at that because I don't do this, guys. I never do this. I never go like this and go like this and be like, oh, okay, we're going to go up to here on the 4 hour. I zoom out. I look at price as a whole because this matters more than your 4 hour. Because if I'm playing highs and lows up here on the 4 hour, what's going to happen eventually? Price is going to move against me substantially. Because I'm not paying attention to where I'm at in price. I'm paying attention to the 4 hour moves in here. And the higher we go, typically, I'm looking for higher and higher moves on the 4 hour, right? I'm excited. I'm like, man, we just keep going up, bouncing right out the trend, bouncing right out the trend, bouncing right out the trend. And then boom, we break. Why didn't I see this coming? Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw it coming. You didn't see it coming because you were looking on a much smaller time frame. You have to zoom out, look at where price is, and then from that price, you have to zoom back, and then you can zoom back in. You can zoom back in. You can be like, all right, I'm playing the 4 hour up here, but I know that I'm at the macro high, So really, I should be looking for a breakdown at some point. So I need to protect myself. So I'm going to put a stop in place below this position. So if price ever moves against me while I play the lows and the highs on the 4 hour, I can get out. And you're only going to see that stop on the higher time frames. You're not going to see it on the 4 hour. You're just not, because you think you're solid up here on the 4 hour. This looks like a really good zone on those lower time frames. Look. If you were to take this and you were to come over here and you were to here, let's try and move this, and you were to chop this like this. Hey, I'm winning, right? You got price between two zones here. Sell, buy, sell. Oh, didn't reach. Came back up. I don't have anything. Buy. And then I'm waiting for it to come back up to sell. And then what happens? Boom, I'm wrecked. Liquidate it. If not, stopped out. And now, guess what? We're coming back up. What did I do here? What did I do at the low? Once we got back above, I bought again, right? But what does this turn into? A wick. And then what happens? Boom,
Ranging.
I'm liquidated again. Why? Because I didn't zoom out far enough to look at where price was and where it could go. So if we look at this from a higher time frame, oh yeah, this is where it can go. If we put a fib on here from the high to the low, and we're like, all right, we broke to the high. Let's expect price to come back to the 50. That's exactly what we do. So I should know up here at some point, price is looking to break down. So I should not be bullish up here. If anything, my safer plays up here, if I'm looking at it from a smaller time frame on the 4 hour, and we looked at it from the higher, is to play this the same way, except a different way. And that is to short the high, take profit. Short the high, didn't come back down. Boom, move back against me, no big deal. Move back against me, no big deal. Got a complete stop out. Take profit. Comes back up. Boom. No momentum. Price breaks down, moves back up. Guess what? We shifted back into the low, shorting the lows. Why am I shorting the lows? Because we
Lack of
broke
momentum.
down first. Momentum was lost. Support was lost. This is a retest high into a drop. That's your lower time frames. Easily identified. Are you guys starting to get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said, what is the 15K fall on the fib? So it's not really as much 15K. So we could do this on the fib. I'll show you the high and the low. Again, low, high. Low is not here. Take the high, take the low. Where is price consolidating? Where did it bounce?
15.9.
59.
50.
It broke a little bit below, but it got above and consolidated on the 50. And what did it do on the 50?
Push back up.
Bounced. It bounced. This is a normal move, even if price is going to break lower. Where's the golden pocket?
35K. Oh no, 19.6.
Price should always be expected to bounce on the 50, which is exactly what we're seeing right now on the lower time frame or the current price zone, right? Price bounced on the 50. It doesn't mean anything in the bigger view. Typically, price or the institutional discount range is the 0.618 and 0.65. That's your golden ratio right here. And if we look at that from the low to the high, that's sitting here in that 11.3. And that, yes, I could adjust it. It's probably a little bit higher, right? Like maybe like right there or something. So it's probably a little bit higher on price. I'm honestly looking for 12. That's what I'm looking for. That'll be a big buy-in for me if we can get to that price zone. But this is where institutions like to bring price back to, typically on a good drawdown. And we're in that scenario of a good drawdown, right? Like we've had a massive pullback so far, and this would just this would be that drawdown position for me. This will be all in. Now, what is a worst case scenario? Well, a worst case scenario in my eyes would be this red zone. And that's why I have it on here, right? Shit really hits the fan, something collapses, something really breaks. We come all the way down and visit this 786, which brings price into that 7K range, right? This is, you should not be bidding this as where you're looking to buy price. I'll basically put it like that, right? That's just the basics. You should not be bidding this as where should you be looking to get in big? I think you should be looking to get in big here. Does that mean that price can't draw down to here? 100% it can draw down to here. Does that mean what's that?
Is it lower better?
Lower is better, but your odds are less likely. Does that make sense?
I've never touched it and you missed the move. I got you.
Yeah. So you got to look at it from an odds perspective. Your best odds is going to be the 50, which a lot of people made out on, right? That's your best odds. Your typically where price likes to range to through institutions is going to be your 618.65. And then something breaks while we're moving into this range, fear, a lot of capitulation, stuff like that, we could see as low as 786. Again, don't bet on this price zone. Don't. So if you hold full cash in this zone and price does reverse in the golden pocket, you've lost your opportunity. That's basically it. Do I think you shouldn't hold some cash for this? Sure. I mean, there's always that possibility it happens, like 5-10% allocation that you should be holding in case that happens, but you're going to continue to hold that 5-10% if it doesn't happen, or you're going to have to put it in higher.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this, and again, this is just me giving you guys my logic. This is how I play the game at the end of the day. If you want to play it differently, that's perfectly okay. You can buy this 50, right? You can buy this 50. Definitely buy it.
So,
Good.
you think that golden pocket should we bank on that, or should we actually buy it at the 50 line?
Well, we're at the 50 and the 50. So when you look at it from that perspective, we got the high and the low here, right? We bounced right on the 50. So we could see some good upside for that. And then we could continue down, right?
Because I know,
good.
I think it's possible that, yeah, we will bounce back off the low, which was around 15K, 16, 15K, somewhere around there. But you think it's pretty possible that it goes to the golden pocket?
I think it normally happens, yes. I think it happens more often than people think it does.
So you think it's likely this cycle we will be at 10K?
Through a point, it'll be, I think, roughly 12, personally.
Okay.
I don't think we'll quite make it all the way into the golden pocket. I think 12 is kind of low. And you're probably like, well, where are you getting 12 from? Really, I'd watch this zone really closely. I'd be looking at DCA, and I know it's not within the Fibonacci, but this is your high. This is your shoulder before the break. And then this right here is where price kind of broke through, right? So this is going to be a nice consolidation zone if price breaks again. Now I'm looking at it from that perspective. I'm also looking at it from this angled perspective right here, this trend down. So if price comes lower again, hey, if price doesn't break into this golden pocket, it could come down and bounce somewhere in here, right? And that would be your 12K scenario / 11K scenario. Doesn't quite get into the golden pocket and then rips from that position.
So I mean, we should still start buying at the 50. We shouldn't just wait.
Yeah, I've been allocating up here, guys, like, at this current zone into certain coins that are just completely obliterated because it makes sense. It makes sense from that perspective.
Yeah,
I
you're not
mean-
looking at Bitcoin as your main investment. You're just looking at it to see what altcoins are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. The things I want to invest in, I like when Bitcoin dips, because when Bitcoin dips, aka pulls back, retraces, whatever you want to call it, we're gonna get good prices on alts, really good prices. Like I said, Algo went to 18 cents. It's only 2 cents over its local bottom from where Bitcoin was when it was here.
Algo's at 18.
It was last night. I don't know where it's at
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was at 18. That Boston then. It was at 90% of its value.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So-
was extremely down.
So 18 is, I mean, that's almost
I
at
mean,
its, the lowest
it-
low you think it'll go to, 16.
It's still at
90%.
18. It could come down more, sure, but it's it's at a 9. Look at this. It basically
Yeah.
came up, made all these recoveries, and went right back down again.
Oh, wow.
Best time to get it.
This is a good time to get it then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's had a pretty decent gradual floor. Again, that's something else I look at right over here. If you look,
Right,
it's
you-
had these big dips.
You saw 15 to 18 cents is the floor.
Yes, yeah, that's really where it's been kind of sitting at and not wanting to go below.
Okay.
So
And
this is what I've been watching.
is Algo one of your good picks for the next bull run, a long-term hold?
I think this will be a stable pick for most people, right?
A stable meaning a conservative good altcoin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be a blue chip, in my opinion. I think it's going to be
Okay.
a blue chip, but it's just from me researching it. Good.
Hey, Will, can you go over the ETH? I think ETH is going to go down to, my opinion, 800.
Yeah. East.
After the Shanghai mistaken, a lot of people going to sell.
Yeah, we're going to talk about ETH. I think it'll go deeper in that, but yeah, we'll talk
ETH is a
about it.
bad buy. Risk to reward.
Yeah, risk to reward is just not. It's not
Yeah, you'll
feasible.
make no money off of ETH for the next bull run.
If you look here at BNB, I mean, this is really concerning to me. Again, we got the high, the sweep high, right? And then now we've kind of come back up, retested, and they soaked people here, guys. Like they pushed price all the way back up to 393, only to wreck those people again. And then they pushed price again all the way back up here to 339, only to wreck them again. And really, I don't think this is a scenario of where BNB is looking to break out. I think, again, this is a descending wedge looking to break down. Like I think BNB is going to get obliterated at some point. If we continue down this path, we're probably looking at $96, $92. Again, it's all about risk to reward. Do you think BNB will be at $800 to $1,000 next cycle? Possibly, if it survives and everything goes well. BNB will probably be in those ranges. That's an 8 to 10x from where this low would be. I just again I don't think it's feasible to me. I'm not looking for an 8 to 10x. I know there's plenty of other good picks that'll give me significantly more. So again, just my perspective on BNB, and it's in the top 4, I think, right now in crypto market. So it's just I'm not really interested in what's going on there. And yes, this is a lot different than my previous thesis of thinking price will break down. And that's just more looking at it from a bigger perspective of the trend up, right? So the trend up here seems pretty solid. So it looks like, we may see a bounce around this trend position. And it would kind of match the thesis of, you had your breakout, you have your descending wedge. And usually what you're looking for is you're looking for the breakdown to kind of equalize the breakout on these descending. So let's say come up to right there. Oh, put that up right there. And it's a really good divide. When you see these descending, ascending triangles and stuff like that, take the breakout and literally drop it below the breakdown, right? And if we're evaluating it from that perspective, we'll see it $59, $60 BNB. At that point, that may be worth it because I could see BNB, if everything works out and it doesn't collapse, could hit $1,000 or so. And then now you're looking at 13, 14. When you start reaching the 13, 14, 15 range plus, for me in crypto, those are good, solid gains. I'm more than willing to step in front of those buses. I'm just not willing to step in front of a 9, 10x. I know a lot of people are like, well, that's a little bit too, too aggressive, to, not being willing to take a 9, 10x. There's a lot of money to be made in crypto. If I'm risking so much money in crypto, again, it's a risk being in crypto. If I'm risking so much money in crypto, I want the max return. And it doesn't mean I'm looking for moonshots at 100,000 X's, but I am looking for good returns, 15, 20, 30. Because I think if we're looking at a 10x, I can get that in the stock market. I know some people are like, oh, wait, there's plenty of small caps on the stock market. I can get a 10x. Plenty.
So,
And it's
but you,
safer.
I mean, you are buying a lot of coins. Like you're buying like what 50 to 100 different altcoins that you're going to hold to the bull run. You do that for diversification, and one of them is probably going to do a 200, 300, 400x.
There's always that possibility. Yeah. I mean, doesn't mean that it happens. It's a crapshoot at the end of the day, really, to be honest with you guys.
Right.
But I will be diversifying pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss the bullish scenario I talked about. So this is a bullish scenario I talked about. Let me find it real quick.
Were you in that Twitter convo today?
Yeah, I was in there. So
I saw you. I think I saw you or Marty in there.
yeah, Marty was in there too. 3,007 tweets, by the way, guys. Not 3,000 tweet. Just point that out. So I think there was. God.
I was telling Marty to join the convo. You guys can. I mean, I've seen someone that had 50 followers got 400 just by talking in there.
100%. But with Mario, it's about who you know, and Mario doesn't really know me, so he's all about inviting people he knows. It's difficult to get on that panel. I'll probably reach out to him at some point and just kind of discuss something.
They had Mark Cuban and Grant Cardone.
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy investors hopping in there. Cantro is a good follow, by the way, guys. I'll show you guys his profile. He's a really smart guy. He knows the ins and outs of finances. So when we look at this from this perspective, I look at it as a perfect rejection, right? And when I see a perfect rejection, it makes it really difficult to not look at it from this perspective, guys. And you're probably like, what do you mean? Because we have the drop, we have the rejection, we push deeper, we push back up, same rejection. I'm looking for a potential of a reversal, possibly a back up to 28K based on this chart, right? And this is really me making this chart really made me think, like there is a potential for this to happen. But I do want to I want you guys to understand how this would play out. We'll kind of talk about that real quick with BTC, and then we'll get into the regular charts. I can't do 4 hours, by the way, guys, because I do have to work on my car. Something I do. I don't take it to the mechanic. But we will be trying to get through a lot of this conversation. Let's discuss this real quick. So remove. So I like seeing these points where price wants to reject in the same zone. And then I try to identify on the higher time frames, weekly, monthly, so on and so forth, where price would be looking to bounce at, right? So I looked kind of across here based on that, and I brought it up to like right in here. And if you look, price kind of touched it perfectly. Now, what I was looking for here, and this will be really good if this plays out. Hey, how's it going, honey? So is I was looking for a potential, because I do have both theses here. I'm a bear, but I also don't want to ignore the bullish argument here. And I don't think you ever should, because if you're ignoring one side, you're not doing yourself any justice at the end of the day. Now, if you look at this, this is the exact move I showed in that post I just showed you, and we were up here, right? So if price ends up whirling back out of here to come back up and retest these highs, I have almost no doubt that will be the breakout move into the higher move. Now, how high would we test? Now, since this is on the weekly, I would expect it to respect weekly price, right? So if we're looking at to respect weekly price, I'd be looking for price to reject here. That's where basically the previous support. And so that would push us up to probably about 29.4. It could even come up to this wick around 28.2. This is kind of like your upper price range zone. And my thoughts here is that basically this whole move moves down, moves up, moves down, moves up, moves down, moves up, moves down, moves up. And this is how they would build liquidity, right? I don't think we would break out from here, guys. I just don't think it would happen. I think this would be the biggest money grab. Like everybody keeps calling this one the biggest money grab, right? This would be the biggest money grab right here. Because if they were to entice price buy-ins all the way up here, a lot of people would be expected to break back into this price zone. And so your feeding frenzy scenario would start playing out here. And what does that mean? What do I mean by feeding frenzy? I mean, you're going to jump in the water and the piranhas are just eating people alive. You would have a ceiling cap right here where they would just continue to put pressure on the market as selling, right? And from this selling, we didn't see price break. And and I'm not saying this will play out 100%, right? If we saw price break, what I would like to see if price comes back down is if price broke the low, came back down significantly, started matching the low here, right? So right around here, started matching that, bounced off of that, retested the high, came back down, retested the previous support, came back down, and just started running for the downside, right? This would be really bad. In this scenario right here, I would expect the red to be played out, maybe even below 10K BTC, right? Moving to that 8K range. Because again, we got to look at it from the perspective of time. And as time plays out, this trend continues to get lower and lower and lower, right? So when we're looking at it from this trend perspective, your low here is way down here, right? So if they drag this out in this perspective, this will be really bad. Can you make money to the upside? 100% if this played out, right? Like this would be really good. But I would be looking to be very cautious, as in like reducing my positions exponentially if price were to break up to here. So if I were invested in anything, I'm like, I'm out. I'm dropping most of my positions here, and I'll let price prove itself, guys. Like what I mean by that is, I mean like price, if price consolidates here and then breaks up again, I can get back in on the retest, no problem. I would rather do that than to take a chance that this is going to go break out and this thing just starts doing exactly as I said and starts running for the low. Again, it's all about risk to reward. We are in a solid downtrend. And if you look at it from this other perspective, like if we look at it from across, right? Like, I don't know how much time this would take to play out or whatever, but like this would be kind of a channel. Here, let's do it from here. Sorry. This would be like a channel move. So, and it would be crazy if it played out. See, that's your channel high. And that's your channel low. And maybe it wasn't a descending like people thought it was, right? A lot of people thought this was a descending, which, you know, at first I did too. But maybe it's more of a channel. And then we come back down lower. Does that make sense to everybody? And again, a descending channel, what is this called? It's called a bull flag, for those of you who don't know. That's what this is. And I would expect a double top rejection on the bull flag and then a big breakout from there. Just like we got a double bottom support, right? And then we get the triple bottom support here. And then on the bigger time frame, people look at it as a W. I know it's a lot in thought and a lot to absorb, but I do record these so you guys can go back and kind of rewatch what I just discussed there. But that's really kind of it's a bigger brain play that I think is possible. I just think that people should, if this ends up playing out, people should be overly cautious in this price range. Right? They shouldn't be looking for breakouts. Now, also, if it does break out, expect price to come back and retest the channel before price moves away. So don't panic to buy back in, or you're going to be sitting for a long time and you've basically taken all this drawdown where you could have bought a lot more crypto at the lower lows. Does all that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So I want you guys to be aware of both sides of the argument here. All right. I'm always trying to be very unbiased with the market, because if you're biased, you're going to play this wrong. You are 100% going to play this wrong. So you have to understand, when the market makes a move, it does it with intentions to do something else, right? Whether that be a breakout move or a breakdown move. Now, again, I think that, just like I said here, as you see, what are you doing here as you're making lower highs?
Just ranging, it looks like.
You're ranging where?
To the downside.
to the downside, and you're ranging the high of the channel. There's a couple identifiers here that I'm trying to teach you, right? If they continue to bounce the high, you can see the lower highs, but you can also see they are forming a resistance, right? Sell, 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 drop. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a momentum game. You are building momentum to take momentum, and vice versa. You're building momentum to push momentum, right? On a bigger time frame. The bigger reversal has yet to reveal itself. This is all just noise here. Like people keep on talking about this and that in price. This is all noise. The bigger move has yet to reveal itself. I don't know what the bigger move is, but am I trying to anticipate the bigger move? Yes, I am actively trying to identify the bigger brain play here. And I really think one of these things plays out, right? Whether we break down now and retest again, if we break down right now, the way this channel looks, I know we don't have a high to identify the actual high of the channel. What will we be doing here if we broke down again? Look, 1, 2, 3. What will we be doing here? On this one.
Probably breaking through.
Nope. Mm-mm. I think we'd be forming a macro bottom. Because we've yet to penetrate the low. I know a lot of the times are like the more time you test resistance, the weaker it gets. The more time you test support, the weaker it gets. I think this is the bottom. This trend, not price. The way price is moving across it.
So
So one thing that I'm doing is trying to identify when price comes back, I should be making purchases regardless of whether I think it can break or not.
you see us bouncing one more time on that channel, Ben?
If we come down first, we will go up, right, off of this channel, I think.
Yep.
If we go up first, we have and test, we have a good chance of coming back down. Because look, we have to identify something very easy to see here. We ran the low, we jumped high. We bounce, 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 jumped high. We're now playing the middle range of what would be here. Again, I don't have a real way of identifying the channel. I'm basing it off the low and then I'm running the high. Does that make sense? So like if I'm running a line, let me back this up a little bit. All right. So I'm running the line off of here, guys. Look, just look what I'm doing. You could draw the same thing on your charts if you want. I'm running a line, I did that like 3 times, across the lows. And then I'm running that straight up to the highs. So I'm running that across the lows. And the high identifies itself without me even having to have a high. And if you look at price, that matches up with my low. Right in here.
Who's that channel you found it at?
Where's it at? So you can get the channel from, I believe it's under here. Let's see.
Didn't you draw a wedge like a few months ago on this
Yep.
area?
I did have a wedge, and that wedge already played out. So now I'm looking for the next move. And again, it's about trying to stay ahead of the market, right? That's what it is at the end of the day. I believe it's under trend lines and then parallel channel right here.
Thanks, Will. I added to my favorites.
So the bottom here, again, very identifiable, right? I'm basically just moving with the market. We have a lot of taps here. not only do we have a lot of taps here, right? Our low is going down and our RSI is building, right? So I think the more and more that this price action plays out, the better and better this looks. What I want to see from the RSI is I want to see a retest of this trend and then some kind of movement out of it. If that means coming back down to the lows, right? And then rolling back out, guess what that means? That means wherever we land is the bottom. In my perspective. Again, right? Not now, does it mean that it's the absolute bottom? No, we can go back up and come back down again. What would that look like on the RSI? It'd be going back up and coming back down again. But what are we doing as we're doing this? We're building strength. And strength is the key to momentum. And eventually strength turns into momentum to the direction of the strength. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So no matter how many lower lows we form, as long as we continue to build higher and higher strength, price is looking to boom at some point. As in, again, not straight up in line. I hate when people do that on Twitter. It annoys the shit out of me, but like, you know, you're gonna work your way out of this. It's just gonna happen. Based off momentum, based off of strength of the market. The market is getting stronger the deeper it goes. That means buyers are stepping in heavier every time we see a lower move. That means up here, they probably about 10 billion. Down here, they're buying like 15 billion. Down here, they're buying 25 billion. Down here, they'll probably buy $50 billion worth. Again, I'm just throwing numbers. That doesn't mean that's the exact numbers they'll be buying or any of that stuff. I just want you guys to understand how momentum works with price. All right. Are there any other questions with BTC? We'll move into ETH and then we'll kind of run across the chart.
Good.
Everybody's good? Everybody understands everything we just discussed?
Yes, sir.
You may not understand. All right. Let's get into Cardano, ADA. Yeah, okay, perfect. We broke the support. I think we'll come back up, probably retest. What's up? Yeah, we broke support. Probably come a little bit deeper, come up, probably retest the high. I think Cardano forms lower low personally. And this has nothing to do with BTC forming a lower low, just the way price action looks there. Disney, we talked about this. Full rejection zone, guys. Again, based off of previous price action. Same thing with BTC, same thing with Disney, same thing with all things. We're back down at the lows. Really, I'm following, again, the same trend I'm following on BTC. That's your lower trends here. Price should come down, I think, on Disney and hit that $77 zone based on that. Could I be wrong and price remains in this price range? Yes, price could 100% remain in this price range. So your buys are here on support and here at the low. Those are your DCAs if you're looking to get in Disney. SI, horrible decision on my part to try and jump in front of this bus. Getting wrecked pretty badly on this one, but you know, these things happen. I shouldn't have degened on this one. It looks like it's rolling the bottom, so I might be able to get out of this. They might end up being able to build capital back into it and push price back up, which will be amazing. And then I will get out of my position if that ends up happening. I have a spot position in Silvergaze and I bought some of the stock.
If they get bought out, is that still a loss?
It would be because they'd be bought out at pennies on the dollar and stockholders would be repaid based on the amount they got bought out by pennies on the dollar.
Gotcha.
Well, what if they got bought up by JP Morgan or something like that? Wouldn't they control the market, the crypto market, sort of?
If JP Morgan bought them out, JP Morgan can do whatever they want with them, right? So they can continue to play in the crypto market, or they can just simply state, we're not interested in crypto. We're just gonna, you know, buy the assets they own for pennies on the dollar and then probably sell them off and make some money on them.
So you don't think it'd be worth it for them to get in the crypto game?
I'm not saying it wouldn't be worth it for them, and it just depends on what they want to do. If they haven't done it yet, I doubt they would use them as a way or a gateway to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's gone down so much. Maybe
Yeah.
they're just waiting.
Well, that's the problem is even institutions are stupid about this kind of stuff, right? Like they're willing to buy the highs, which is what they did last market. Once liquidity, sorry about that. Once liquidity starts to form its way in, as opposed to buying as things are coming down dramatically, because they don't. Honestly, a lot of institutions and stuff they'll buy the momentum, but they won't buy the drawdown because they're not willing to catch a falling knife. Homag Group, which again, it's the same thing I do. I play momentum because I know that's how institutions like to play. Again, we talked about this. I think it's not a good looking position. This looks like a major breakdown in housing. Personally, we broke below support, in my opinion, and I think we continue down. We hit these lows, but this is the same position BNB's in, and I would expect a drawdown on this piece. And if we look at it, if you're looking at the breakout, again, we talked about this to the breakdown, like this, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And if we look at it from the perspective of the trend all the way across, right, we're almost matching up there. I mean, it depends on really where it falls. If it falls through here, that'll be a perfect matchup, in my opinion, on trend, and then also on drawdown based on breakout. So a couple different things I'm looking at here. And that would also kind of match up with our W formation right across here, right? So if they can kind of hit these 3 points, like this would be the key position to be taking a long position on this one. So Homag Group, something to watch. What's up?
You gonna put this?
No, I'm not going to put puts on this. It's a very volatile market right now in housing, and I'm really trying to way ahead of read this. I want to see this thing kind of prove that this will play out. Your best place to play this is it would have been up here, right? And or wait for the break here, because the break here will probably retest. You enter and you take the put down. A lot of people got into SPY puts too early and got wrecked. I don't want to eat theta decay and stuff like that. Trying to get ahead of the move. So they could range here at the lows for a while before they end up dropping. So you got to kind of watch these. The stock market's heavily manipulated in a way that people don't understand, especially when you look at puts and calls. They will hold them hot. They will hold price high to make your puts or your calls decay, or close at zero. And then they will allow price to continue in the direction you were already anticipating. So you got to be really careful with the way you're approaching it. Sol got a nice falling wedge here. I'd be watching this. I would definitely be watching this. I think, again, just like BTC, it's got a trend line now. So I really want to see it test this $5 zone. If we get into that range, I think that there's good potential for this one. Falling wedge again in price action, so nothing too crazy. Let's move into what else did I have here? SI, I already got rid of that one. Google. We talked about the highs and the lows on this price zone, came down, didn't touch quite at the low. But I mean, it's pretty dang close. And I think it may end up ripping through it and then kind of pulling back above it. But we talked about these as basically like stair stats for Google. So highs and lows, highs and lows, highs and lows. You can put the highs and then, long the lows. And typically it's a month by month play here for Google. So it's a pretty easy one to be putting puts and calls on, to be honest with you. And right now we're at the low. So you could call this to the high and then kind of see where that goes. The one thing I don't like for this one specifically is the lower highs. Right. I don't want to see that. So if this closes, something like here and doesn't end up recapping all the way to the high here before it closes, that's going to be bad. But if we're best case scenario, this technically, if you look at this from a month by month, this is your blue month, white month, blue month, white month. Right now, it should be a blue month. So if this thing goes, really, I'm anticipating it to pump all the way back up. And if you look at something like Google and you're like, okay, it's going to go back to 102. Then that really makes you question whether or not the crypto is going to roll over too, right? Because again, this rolls over to tech. And when you're looking at it from a tech perspective, again, high risk, crypto should follow high risk. And I think that we're looking at a pump possibly on Google. And you're probably like, what do you mean it's a blue chip? It's Google. It's still tech at the end of the day, guys. And tech usually sees the biggest drawdowns when it comes to market pullbacks. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So it does look like it wants to run the way it's sitting positioned on the chart. Adobe kind of playing the middle game here. Again, just kind of playing out the middle, and really it could roll back up, but I don't see a breakout, right? So I think this might turn into an M formation to the low and could create a lower low. I still want to see them recapture price over here on these wicks. Tests or VRA, we talked about this one. They found support too, just like we talked about. So they may be trying to play in here, but they need to break this support to be able to take that as a short back down to the lows. Rumble. They're just basically soaking liquidity at the high, in my opinion. I wouldn't be buying here. They just reject it completely out the low. So this is not a good look for them. What this will probably end up resulting to, just so you guys know kind of the pattern I kind of foresee for this, is I think it's gonna go like this, right? Back down. And this is gonna be a kind of like a decline wedge or a falling wedge, sorry. And then eventually once they revisit these lower lows, you know, it'll be a breakout for Rumble from there, I think. And that also kind of plays into the accumulation phase to break out. So we talked about this. I discussed this. I told you guys, hey, I don't want to see any higher for the 2-year perfect rejection. Look, met my goal on the T. Look at that. I'm not at all like touting, but I'm just, you know, excited that I was able to call this on the T, guys. Like it's a perfect call out for 2-year.
Yeah,
What's up?
no, we're excited too that you caught it.
Yeah. It was just a really good call. I think that this is looking to roll over. I think bonds will continue to play the highs here, just like they did over here. Now you can see when you start to play these highs, this is a dangerous game to play, because once bonds started to get bought up, and keep in mind, somebody has to sell for you to buy, all that good stuff. Once we saw that big buy-in into bonds, this is where the market really crashed over here in 0809. So if we continue to see that play up here, and then we start to see a big buy in the bonds, I can almost bet you the market will start tanking immediately as soon as that happens, because that's basically an asset rotation, right? That means they're rotating onto other assets, risky assets, medium risk assets, and all that stuff, and they're fleeing to defensive, right? You're going to be fleeing the bonds. You're going to be fleeing to anything that protects your capital. So we start seeing that's massive fear in the market. I'm really kind of fearful that, you know, what's to come. This could play out in 2025, 2024, could play out later, but this is not looking good, in my opinion. We set up here basically for, you know, a solid couple years before we ended up falling out. If you were going to take a long on BTC, Rodney, I would have done it at where I said 19.5. I would not be trying to long at 24 right now. I mean, you need to see price verify itself, and then you need to hold that price. 19.5 would have gave you the best coverage, so you wouldn't have been you wouldn't have had pressure on that position, in my opinion. And you just have a stop below that position. So if you're going higher, you're going to lose more because your stop has to be below that position. So
well,
it's just not worth it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with the 2-year. Yeah, it's one of those games, guys, like you want to get into the long because you feel like you're missing out, but like once you've missed the move, like you gotta take it, you know, the hit on the chin basically, and just kind of accept it. This is why I identify these things for you, so you can take the risk if you want to. But you know, at the end of the day, once that move has already moved off of the position, you don't want to be taking higher positions just in case, right? I could always be wrong on these. And if it ends up turning out wrong, then you're going to lose a lot more than what you would have lost from the position I gave you.
Yeah.
But if you are in another position, definitely, you know, have your stops below 19K. You know, it's a $500 difference. And if you're sitting at like 18.9, for instance, you should be pretty safe. And then if price moves into those ranges, it'll more than likely break down. So it'll be a good stop out position to be taken, to be looking for possible short, right, on a retest, obviously. Shopify, again, we had the long run into the bearish div right here on the RSI. indicating that a fallover was coming. And this looks just like the top of BT or the micro portion of BTC that we're sitting at right now, or just price resist. And we got the RSI following that and verifying that. So then price just fell over. Price is now reaccumulating. It's basically, I think personally, in that accumulation phase to be come back down, where I think we continue to consolidate in the zone. I think just like Google, Shopify is going to be a stair step down. And then, if we continue to see degradation on the overall economy, it could definitely break and come down to the next price zone around here, around 13 to range between 13 to 17. What's up?
I think we missed $17. I should have grabbed it then.
Yeah, it's one of those plays where you got to either take the risk or not take the risk. I think it was 23.64 was the low on this. So this is one I talked to you guys about pretty profusely. We talked about it in the last meeting. I told you they'd run basically for the 15 and then they go for the 16. And if we take this on a smaller time frame, that is exactly what they did. So if you look here on the weekly, they ran all the way up as high as they can get it to the 15. I thought they would hit the 4,100. I'm not going to lie. So I was a little bit high on my position. Yes, I was, and I'll admit that. But I definitely thought a run up before a breakdown. And a lot of people thought we were going to break down because we were sitting here. I was like, no, they're going to reverse this back up. And then once they come back up, then they're going to bring it down. Now, why did they do that? Anybody? Why would they have done that?
Taking out the longs.
Nope, that has nothing to do with it. Maybe it has something to do with, but that would just be your puts and calls. But with puts and calls, it doesn't work like that. But why would they move the SPY like this?
Liquidity.
Liquidity. What were they trying to do with liquidity?
They trying to get paid like we are.
They're trying to get paid, but there's a little more to it. What do you do when you push price up? You entice buying.
Entice
You induce buyers.
Right? You entice buyers. What is the best way to sell a large amount of a position?
To get buyers.
Create buyers. So what they did is they pushed price up to create buying. People bought into the narrative and then they sold into the buying.
That's what I was talking about. That's I apologize, but that's what I was talking about. They get in that's liquidity. They provide liquidity to get our liquidity.
Correct.
And they sold the whole move, like all in one move. They just took
all
out
in
the
one
whole-
move.
Yeah.
Exactly. And did I almost hit my 16? Yeah, I was really close. A little bit off. I will admit that. But I called this move to a T. And again, it's not me bragging. It's just me knowing what they're going to do before they do it. And it's not me foreseeing like I'm some kind of futuristic high IQ person. Okay. It's just understanding momentum. To be able to sell, I need to create buyers. To be able to buy, I need to create sellers. This is an institutional sell-off. This is not a retail sell-off. Now, what's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That
Okay.
16, you gauged that 16 by looking at 10 and 11 at the low.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
way-
That's exactly it.
You just went back a couple numbers, not all the way back to 7 or 6, but you went back to 10 and 11. Okay.
Yep. And why did I go this direction? I went this direction because they want to keep buyers enticed. You can't just drop this down to the 18 and keep buyers enticed. You have to drop it to the 16, build it back to the 17, breakout traders step in, breakout buyers step in, and then you sell into them again.
Over and over and over and over.
It's a wash move. Wash trading. Do you guys see how the game's played now? It seems rigged,
Yeah, definitely.
but it's just momentum. It's momentum. They are momentum trading the market, guys. They know that your trader is looking over here. So they push price to here to get your trader to buy this back up. Because they're like, oh, bullish. We still haven't broken structure. Where's your breaking structure? Breaking structure's here. Have we broken structure?
Not yet. We're going to.
No, we haven't. So the trader is still bullish. So the trader is going to buy this up at support, push it back up to 17, and the market maker is going to look at resistance across the board, across the whole board, and they're going to sell it back down. And then we're going to break structure. And then once we break structure, now we need to look at the next breaking structure here. Now, for them to get that breaking structure, I'm going to look all the way over here. And that would mean that price would have to then hit this 18. I didn't price this in yet, but I'm going to tell you guys, come back up to this 36.98 and then break low.
What is that in BCC? Will 18 at?
18. Oh, this will be, I think they'll probably go all the way down to here.
Yeah, is that about a 12,000?
Your channel move. That's an easy 12 to 8K. I think
That's
it's
good stuff. That's good stuff.
This is a breakdown move all day. Look, high, 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 high. I can't make this stuff up. Look, they just barely got above and everybody got bullish. Barely got above, but where are they at now? Back below the macro trend. Don't buy breakout, guys. Don't buy breakouts. Just don't do it. Look. Low, low, high, 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 high. This liquidity has barely been tested. The lows. It's not about price. It's about the lows, right? It's about the lows. And if we come over here to the right, this same low matches up right over here. Look at that. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's momentum trading. Now, does this mean that this comes to fruition? No, not 100%. Where should I be looking for next? I should be looking for 17 next. And that would be Google back to its high at 102, just like we talked about. And then I should be looking for a flush back down to the lows. And then I should be watching the lows. And if I'm bullish, if I think this is the bottom, this is where I should be buying. And then price pushes back up. And if price rejects in this zone, I should be looking for price to be breaking this low and coming down to the next support. And where does my next support come across to? It comes all the way over here at 33.97. And if we break that, I'll look for a move back up more than likely and a breakdown to the next support. Where does that next support come out to? 32. Again, that liquidity is all of this right there. That's your lows before price took off. That's your highs before price took off. Yeah, no problem, Barrett. Does everybody understand the move that I'm looking at now? And I'm not calling for this thing to go straight down here in a day. I'm not calling for this to go straight down here in a month. I'm not calling for this to even happen. I'm just saying as price moves, if it does this, then it will more than likely do this. If it bounces off here and breaks through here, it will more than likely do this. It's a if this, then that statement. It's not a we're going to hell or a we're going to the moon. Does that make sense to everybody? That's always the statements I'm trying to make, guys. Like I'm not trying to make a thesis of full-on bear. I'm not trying to make a thesis of full-on bull. I'm trying to make a thesis of the way the macro looks and the way the chart is looking and the direction it's heading. This is the way momentum will move if it's bearish. This is the way momentum will move if it's bullish. And currently, we broke the macro high here. This is the main zone you want to watch because anytime we get below this zone, typically we get big sell-offs. The only time that hasn't happened is here. And that's where they wanted to entice buyers back up to the highs. But keep in mind, we're right back in that zone. I don't anticipate this to hold and reverse back up. I expect it to get compressed and break down. Because we're playing the high range of the zone. The high range of the zone. When you're playing the high range of the zone and you can't break it, eventually you come down hard. Again, this isn't one candle. It's not a day. There's going to be bounces. There's going to be price action movements, so on and so forth. And we have to evaluate each level as it happens. That's basically it. Just evaluate as it happens. All right. Moving into, we talked about shop, CFDs. So this is crude oil. Again, hasn't moved yet, but I can tell you right now, gas right now, that gas station right down the road from me is $4.50. When I moved here to Vegas about 4 years ago, and actually even a couple of years ago before all this stuff happened. Sorry a second. Man, these people just drive around like crazy. Gas was probably sitting closer to $2.99, $3. So it keeps fluctuating the highs and the lows, and I don't know that gas is going to come down. I don't think it will. That's the thing. Like even with summer, I think there's going to be more driving. That's going to push prices up. I think actually gas is going to see upside from that. We're going to see more vacations, more people driving down the road. It's going to push prices higher. I'm still expecting the C wave to play out for gas. And then this breakdown pattern that we discussed previously, right? So the C wave into the A, into the B, into the C breakdown pattern. There will be moves in between, but this is the overall move I'm looking for. And this is the trend that gas tends to like to play. And you probably go, well, what about this? This is an anomaly. It's a wick, right? The only thing that matters at the end of the day when it comes to price is bodies. And we had these solid touches, right, of price just all the way down. And I think this is where gas will end up landing at some point throughout this whole thing. Could it break down lower? Sure. But gas is always going to be needed. Moving into, yeah, no problem. Oh, I know somebody asked about ETH, man. I think I have it somewhere. I'll pull it up in a second. Still holding trend to the upside. This is very, bullish in my opinion. I think 10 years looking to pop off at some point. The way trend is holding, if trend breaks, that's a whole nother conversation, right? Then we'll be looking to break down, in my opinion, from the 10-year. But I think the 10-year looks like it's topping here, but it just, until it breaks this trend, I can't call it a top. That's really the one I'm looking for, is this angle trend. Let's see. I told you guys, check it out. What did it do?
Yep. At $60, you said something. Think gotta grab something.
I was like, through here, it's gonna probably go. And it hit, pulled back, hit, came back up, and then hit again. It hit all three levels. Now, does that mean it's done? Oh, it's probably gonna keep hitting. I'm not gonna lie, but I wouldn't be buying here if you didn't buy the low. You're just out of luck on this one. I wouldn't, no way I would tell anybody to buy here. Zero. So if you buy here, hey, should I get out, Will? No, I'm not gonna answer you. I'm just not. I'm telling you guys, don't buy here. Like, if you buy here, you're in a good spot. In a good spot.
Yeah, got a couple of them.
CNY, man, it's holding. The wad is holding. Really kind of gotta watch this one. Solid support right in here. So we'll see how that plays out. XRP still kind of in this, man, I'm not liking this pattern, but this is kind of the zone. I've been watching XRP. This is your low, this is your high right now, and really we might be consolidating, but like I'm not liking this downtrend move right here. I don't have a falling wedge, which makes me a little bit concerned. I don't really have a way to identify a falling wedge here. The way the pattern's priced out, it looks like a descending wedge. So we'll see how that plays out. We got ETH BTC, ETH moving on BTC, which means alts will probably run. We can see it now. Look, guys, look, I am giving you the alpha. I do this every meeting and nobody pays attention. Look, what should you do with your altcoins if Ethereum's here?
Sell them.
Sell them.
you should sell them. Why? They're all more than likely at peak pricing. What should you do with altcoins when ETH gets here?
Should buy them.
Bye.
You buy. Look, it's been very identifiable trend for what? Since 2021?
I've never used that. Like to know when to get in and out alts.
BTC.
Ah,
But I want you to understand a bigger move here too. What are we doing here?
We're ranging
We're ranging. Are we ranging the low or the high?
high.
We're ranging the high. So expectations are at some point the altcoin market collapses. Not BTC, the altcoin market.
ETH is alt, right?
Yes. ETH has been in a solid ceiling all of 2021 through 2023. And if you look here, what do we see here at 17? What do we see? ETH had a much bigger position against Bitcoin in 17.
That's interesting.
That is actually reduced. This is a lower high. So if ETH continues down this path, ETH is going to lose more and more position against Bitcoin. And if you want me to show you what that looks like, is we got one, right? And then we got two, which is where we're at right now. And then we will probably see three, which is a step down each cycle for Ethereum. It means even though Ethereum comes up in price, BTC continues to lag against Ethereum. What's that?
Where do ETH's gas fees go now? Because before they went to the obviously your validators, which was proof of work, but now it's proof of stake. So obviously there's validate. I just don't understand how the proof of stake works with the validators. I know it's where where fees go.
Yeah, so gas fees actually go to pool liquidity, which goes to stakers.
Right.
It's essentially the same thing, right?
Yep.
Rather than somebody working, it goes to the pools to provide liquidity, to provide Ethereum for the stakers, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, they would see huge degradation against price every time they minted Ethereum to pay stakers. And that's something else that people got to understand is like they say ETH is deflationary, right? But how do you think stakers get paid?
Yeah, they got to be paid somewhere.
They get paid by inflationary ETH. It's not deflationary. It can be deflationary in the factor that it burns, but that's just balancing out the amount that they're giving out in staking rewards. That's all it is at the end of the day. And do you know who pays for the burned ETH? Anybody who utilizes the network.
User.
Yeah,
the user.
So could that because everybody was saying yesterday like the gas prices were going through the roof because everyone was freaking out trying to dump. Could that have been a play from basically Ethereum stakeholders trying to unstake?
Well, no.
Cause all that craziness.
What I think happens with Ethereum is I think there is money that likes to play on people's liquidity, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is like I think there are big players that ramp up activity on purpose during traumatic times to try and cause fees to be much higher than they should be.
To give returns to essentially stakeholders.
Correct. Higher returns to stakeholders.
Yep. Which is there's only a few that hold most of it.
Yeah. It's basically like a giant Ponzi.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Right,
That's
so-
sort of confirming what I was thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and we can get into the deeper part of that conversation with Ethereum. I think there's a deeper conversation to be had there.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
But there are very few wallets that hold the majority of Ethereum, guys. Like
Oh,
you gotta
Lido's a
really
big one.
consider that.
Coinbase
get
is a big
played.
one.
Yep.
It's Coinbase and Lido, isn't it? Essentially, that own most of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and
And
that's very
they have
interesting considering what
institutional
just
investors too. Yeah.
So it could have been Coinbase causing all sorts of things, even, and then they just basically just arbitrage back into their
Correct.
USDC.
At the end of the day, a lot of liquidity is all about arbitrage, and we can get into that discussion too. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's about exploiting and I would say unethical price manipulation.
It's just forcing algos, isn't it?
Yep, that's all it is. It's forcing algos to play on the price.
Pushing your weight around.
Yep, pushing your weight around. Oh, I'm bigger than you. Just shoving your way through the crowd.
Yeah, freak you out, let you dump. I buy back in.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Beyond Meat, again, we talked about this. I think it's a rollout, solid ceiling right here. I think they come back down to the lows. So we'll see how that one plays out. Not really a buy for me at the moment. It's getting pretty bad. Dot, we talked about the ceiling right here. Price came down. Price then fell under. Price is now rejecting. Expecting a retest of the lows here, 418. If you ask me to buy Dot at 8, if it goes back to 418, guys, don't ask. Come on. I'm giving you guys the alpha here. Take advantage or don't take advantage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you to buy higher. I will not do it. So everything's there for you to buy.
Will, are you going to be staying in USDT?
Yeah, any cash I have in the space will primarily be allocated to USDT. It's something I've always used, guys. I've been in the space a while. Like it's a lot of FUD around USDT, a lot of it. I don't see it. I don't. It's been around for a while. Basically, they got in trouble with New York. They're audited. They have to show asset allocations and everything else. Like they're basically like a stock company when it comes to stable coins. I don't think USDC was being monitored very well, whereas USDT has to report monthly. So again, and I don't mean that by USDC is specifically at fault here. I mean the banks that had big positions in USDC were not being monitored very well.
You don't think that, I mean, if USDC can get shook, then USDT can be affected as well?
I mean, they tried to push price around on USDT last night, and it just wasn't happening. They were flooding. What I think I saw is they were flooding USDT with USDC money. So they were flipping into USD and then pushing that money into USDT, and then you saw them try to sell into USDT to see if they could push price down, and it didn't happen. They were able to pump it up to like 102, 104 on USDT, and then you had that sell pressure to try and capitalize on that price fluctuation, and they weren't able to get it below $1.
That's your arbitrage.
Yeah, that is arbitrage at the fullest. Yeah, 100%. Is it something to keep watching? Sure. At the end of the day, it is, right? I can tell you in all the history of USDT, it's never been below 90 cents. USDC exceeded, all the way down to like 80 last night. So it was pretty bad.
A lot of money would have been made out of that.
Yeah, it was a massive move. Like you got people on Twitter like, imagine not buying USDC at 80 cents. It's like, bro, if you're buying into that kind of selling pressure, you're stupid. Like it makes no sense. If anything, you're waiting for price to come back up and you're exiting USDC and going into something else.
Yeah, a lot of them were mentioning how they sold, but they were advertising it as a massive buying opportunity, but then they slide in that they sold.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's a blind risk. Absolutely not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a blind risk and it becomes an issue. Scarlett, we'll discuss kind of some fundamentals here in just a second. Let's move into AMD hitting the highs. I'm expecting a sell off on AMD. I think these are the high zones right here. They just keep playing them and they're just not able to breach 50 on the RSI. There's so many red flags in my opinion. Got a little bit of a build up on the stochastic. You did have a break to the lower low here on the RSI. So I just, I don't really see a breakout from here for AMD. Chips look good. I like the way the 200 is kind of waving up though. That could provide support if price does come down. That's what I'd be looking for on AMD.
Looks like an early round off though.
Yeah, for sure. Neo, we talked about this. These are the lows, these are the highs. Again, we're revisiting the lowest lows here. If Neo is to stay here in the next 19 days, I expect a breakdown to the next level, right? Yeah, it's going to be a pretty nasty sell-off if that happens. I would take advantage of that.
But that's not price discovery, is it, Will? Because I bought.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're still on solid support over here. This is a really good support position right here. This ideally would have been the best place to buy, but again, there was nothing wrong with buying over here. We talked about that because you have a lot of price action in here, right? So it's something to keep an eye on.
So just going back to AMD, Will, would that constitute a shorting position for you?
Yeah, I would say, but they could float this for a while, right? And they could try and get all the way back up here. And,
just a low
really, I
leverage.
would take my position here as a short.
Whereabouts? Sorry.
The high here, so right around 93.64 is where I'd be looking for a short position. I would think they would want to breach that. Our highest position we got to was 89.41.
Yep.
Are you looking to buy AMD at 30?
If AMD can get to 30, I certainly would be looking to get some positions. I'm not looking at major positions AMD. I don't think that it's going to be anything massive for growth. Right?
You're more
AMD's,
into Rivian and Rumble and those smaller ones?
I'm more into smaller caps for the most part. I do have some defensives which are some blue chips, but I'm like Google and stuff like that. But I'm into the smaller ones because you have so much potential in those ones as opposed to something like Tesla and stuff.
Chip development's kind of hit a ceiling in its own at the moment. They're sort of trying to work out which way to go with it.
Yep. Yeah. I think there's a lot of confusion in the chip side, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it seems like there could be some good downside for chips. We do have a bit of a breakout on Hex here to the upside. Again, could the same breakdown for sure. I like the momentum. We're kind of playing the highs here. We're at resistance, basically rejecting that resistance, the top end of the resistance, right? We're also at support over here, rejecting the support here. Could they try and go for the higher position here? Sure they could. But is it risk to reward? Downside to upside, your reward's this, your risk is this. It's like double, or if not triple. So no, it's not worth it in my eyes to buy in here. Can't see, just like I said, breakdown, coming back down. Gonna hit this trend right here, overall trend. So, 40 cents, something like that if you're interested in that one. Tesla breaking into these lower zones. Again, I'm still looking for this gap to be filled over here on Tesla first. We'll kind of look at it from 145, 146 and see, okay, is it going to go deeper? Is it looking to round back out and move back off the leg again? That's my area price low I'm looking for. Now, here's what I'm expecting on Monday is a move back up to create buying pressure so they can sell. So that's what I'm looking for essentially. And that's just going to be that ceiling top right there. And that's going to be that retest of that 50, creating room to come down deeper. Peso, nice rejection there. This is the area we're looking for a rejection. Could consolidate up here for a little bit, kind of play the high and low here. Ultimately, I'm looking for it to come back down though. Revisit the lows. We got a rising wedge on the stochastic, rising on the RSI, making me think that price is going to break down pretty hard. Peso to dollar. BBBY still holding support. We got the reversal trend here. Bullish div. It did kind of break below that, I'm not gonna lie. So it could come back up, retest and go deeper. I don't want to play this. I played it a couple times, won the lottery, but I'm not gonna play that anymore. I think this is a dead game playing reversal trends against things that make no sense. So, and what I mean by that is like BBBY is it's a dead company.
It's
we
a
look
meme
here.
stock.
Yeah, it's a meme stock. Yeah. We look here at the Rivian chart. We're retesting the lows. Again, this is an ideal buy position in my eyes. Could it go deeper? Sure. We have a bullish div, and we are sitting right on that bullish div right now. If price comes back up from here, this could be a really, really good buy for Rivian, because when you look at it from a bigger perspective, we basically have a falling wedge on Rivian, which means it could retest the lows a little more. But ultimately, I think this thing's looking to catch buyers, right, in these price ranges. Rivian is a very interesting stock. It's one of the few that I see that's actually has a bullish div right now. So looking at it from that perspective, we could see a retest high. And again, we've talked about this before. So typically what I'm looking for is I'm looking for price the high to the low of the breakout, right? Your breakout trade, breakdown trade to turn into your breakout, right? So that'll basically push prices all the way back into this $30 to $40 range at some point once this thing fully plays out. So that's what I've been looking for.
Do you think with China basically stepping up their manufacturing, basically pumping all the goods around the place, that is super bullish for Rivian as well, because obviously Amazon will capitalize on that?
Yeah, I mean, it could. I think anything Amazon can capitalize on, Rivian, I think they're tied very tightly, as much as people may not realize that through their partnerships and stuff like that. So price, I think, will kind of follow each other. And I think long-term Amazon's a great investment, guys. Like, do I think it'll make you millions of dollars? No. It's a good investment.
What was the all-time high of Rivian?
Oh, Rivian, man, it was $178.
So that's about
and that wasn't even like a massive market cap.
It's only a baby still.
Yeah, this thing's
so
a
this
baby
is a 20x from now.
Could be, yeah. If not a lot more, right?
Yeah, and I mean, what's the market cap at that peak?
I'm not sure what the market cap was up here. I'll look into their financials and stuff like that, but I know they're in like the billions, but nothing too crazy. Like good upside potential on this one for sure, especially the things we talked about.
If they could be half of Tesla's, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Well, they're the only ones really getting lifestyle vehicles on the road, aren't they? The EVs.
Yep. And commercial too. They're really big in the commercial position. So.
Yeah. Commercial and lifestyle.
I mean, you said you saw Rivian. You said you saw a Rivian Amazon truck in Vegas, right?
Well, they're everywhere. It's not I just saw them. Like they may not be in your area, but they are in a lot.
I didn't see the Amazon ones, but I did see people driving them.
Yeah, the Rivian trucks are pretty cool. If you guys look into them, you get a lot of value for dollar. I think the consumer itself actually gets more than the value of the vehicle. So the value should technically, by dollar for dollar, should probably be in the $120,000 range. I think their trucks averaging about 80,000 per sale.
Amazon's harvesting a lot of data from those trucks.
That too. So that's the other thing that people don't realize.
If you one day suddenly, the day you see like someone not driving a Rivian truck, you'd be loaded if you bought that stock, I reckon.
Yep. Yeah, I think Rivian will probably provide Amazon with data and stuff like that in the long run. I think that's what they're working towards with these electric vehicles, right? Add commercials to them, wink, wink, and all these other things. And you know, as people become more comfortable with using voice as opposed to text or text to speak, that will allow them to gather more data too, because a lot of that can be exploited as far as like when you talk to Alexa. I had to say that in a whispering voice so it doesn't like activate. But like when you say that, when you speak to those devices, they not only take that and interpret that and give you a response, they also store that information as, you know, potential to advertise to you.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
I drove past Macca's the other day and I just suddenly got a push notification just from Macca's. Like right on the dot.
Just by driving by.
Yeah, just by driving past.
Apple.
Yep.
Apple was doing that stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Apple. I've got an iPhone. And it was Apple, and I went, that is so cheeky. I was literally right in front of the store, driving past and I went pop, just
Yep,
reminding me of the deal.
That's exactly what mine does too. It's crazy. Like I don't even know how it's legal for them to be tracking you like that, but
No, because
it's,
I've got all my tracking shut down, and like still doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what
doesn't matter.
VPN
Yep.
connection you're using. They know where you are. They do it through maps.
Yep.
So-
And we talked about AR here too, guys. Like this, I know it's all a mess, but that's because the last meeting I was showing you guys direction, and I didn't clean up my chart. But basically, we're expecting price to continue to range again. This is a bull flag pattern, breakdown pattern. I'd wait for price to break down. I'll be buying these lows on AR.
What's AR?
It's AR USD. Real quick, I'll give you guys kind of a rundown on this one.
I don't think I've seen this one before.
Yeah, it's one I was tracking for a while.
this
And
one of
I
those-
actually need to go back and look at why I was tracking it, but
I was wondering why. Is it one of your low market cap ones?
yeah, I
Wasn't it
believe
for
was.
they were looking at for building and stuff like that? The
Yeah,
construction.
Yeah, I think this one
just
might have
different.
been.
Yeah, just different
Oh, okay. The
industrial stuff.
BIM.
Oh no,
Red-
sorry. No. This is Binance. My bad. My bad. So it's AR crypto.
Yeah.
Or is that the storage layer?
Nope, Arweave.
Is that
That's what it
Arweave?
was. Yep, Arweave. Yep.
Yeah,
I was
storage
like,
layer.
which one is this?
It's a storage
Arweave.
layer, yeah.
Yeah, so Arweave is in a bull flag pattern, in my opinion. So
It's got some big investors waiting to capitalize on that.
yeah. Man, I gotta remember all this. Come here looking dumb. But yeah, Arweave is a storage layer.
Is this like Flux? Like you were just looking at Flux for a second.
Yeah, Flux. There's a couple other ones. Siacoin. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
So AR is one of those.
I'll go, sorry.
I was just saying that's one of your top ones. File, like File, Siacoin, Flux. Like these are the data ones.
Well, here's the thing. So, and I'll explain to you guys, and this will come back to the fundamentals because I know HM Scarlett was asking about fundamentals, right? So when bull runs happen, these projects need a place to store their NFTs and all their data and everything else, right? They do that on these storage chains. Now, typically one of them will get adopted or multiple of them, right? They'll all see liquidity at some point, depending on their deals and what they can get for using the platform. Those platforms will remain active and that will push price on these storage cryptos until the bull run's over, and then those storage cryptos fall with all the other cryptos because storage stops happening. Some of these companies go away. Some of them lower their overhead by just stop storing in these storage crypto companies and so on and so forth. It's just easier for them to use a storage crypto than use something like Google, because Google's like, oh, you're a crypto, we don't want to mess with you. So they usually use the storage companies that are in crypto to store the projects and the data and all the information that are transacting through the bull
Their
runs.
efficiency as well is closely correlated to gas fees.
Yeah.
The cheaper they are, the lower they can keep gas fees on network, making it more enticing.
Yep, 100%. And really, these actually, in my opinion, are better priced than say Google storage, than Amazon storage. Like the
Some of the
price
deals
for
are
these
cracker.
is, it's like pennies on the dollar when you're talking about storage and size and how much you get for the dollars you pay. So when you're looking at things like Filecoin and Siacoin and stuff like that, like they're really cheap to store on. So something to keep an eye on, definitely.
Mr. Crypto Banters, he loves this, and he's waiting for it to come down. He's not talking about it. He's spoken about it in the past, so he'll just basically pump that thing to the moon once he's got his position.
Which one are we?
Honestly, that's why remember when Filecoin took off? Does anybody remember that? It's about the same time that Arweave took off and I think Sia moved too. So they take off whenever the market anticipates a bullish run or a bull run. Why do you think the price of Filecoin is pumping? Do you think it's because of retail?
You're right. The oracles do that too, don't they?
The oracles do it, and also the crypto projects, because they all start trying to make projects really fast and get on the network. So they start buying a bunch of Filecoin and buying a bunch of Siacoin, buying a bunch of Arweave and pumping the price up to get storage to put their new projects in so they can build liquidity off the momentum of the price action moving. That's why when people talk about a lot of these projects are scams, some of them are.
How's the inside on that? That is, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And that's why you see these things draw down with the market, because those same projects that jumped in on the momentum are now jumping off the momentum and selling off their positions in each one of these. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. These are more project driven than they are retail driven. So really good pickups. If you think you're going into a bull run, would be any type of storage type project, as long as you know it's good. You know, they have good deals, good projects, stuff like that. Again, Filecoin I think is one of the best when you look at it, and it looks aesthetically pleasing, which is another good point. And you know, when you look at it from that perspective, those pickups and momentum will come through these storage positions, even as much as people may not believe it, you know. And once you start peaking, you'll start to see those storage coins start to either top or start to drop lower highs, right? They will actually lead the industry into the downturn.
Stacks is quite volatile as well.
Yeah, Stacks is very volatile, exactly. But that's a little bit of alpha for you guys from a fundamental standpoint, so you can kind of know how to use and what to do with storage, and that they can be profitable to invest in.
So those are your top three. Arweave, Filecoin, File.
Those are like the blue chips when it comes to storage.
What is
Right.
Flux? Was that a storage one? What was that one?
So Flux is more like a KDA or like a blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with all the networks, one of the major roadmap stages is always storage. Without their storage layer, they can't progress.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, especially when you look at it from the NFT perspective, those take a lot of space, right? You got to store all those to be able to distribute them to people. And then you still have to store them for the people that buy them, right? So you got to pay for that storage. So you need to have a network to put that on. So you choose a storage network to have those on.
And their file sizes are getting a lot bigger too as the networks get faster.
Pixels and file sizes, the more intricate we'll say the NFT, the more storage you're going to need. It's all about pixels.
So should we look at anything that's trying to bring on AI and their storage layers? Because
Yeah,
they're going to need shitloads.
So that's just a little bit of alpha for you guys, so you know kind of how storage kind of binds into all that. But that's how I would look at it. US dollar peso. US dollar looks bullish against peso. Again, I think this is a breakout position. I think the peso is about to get wrecked. I don't know why. Again, it's the Filipino peso, but it looks like their economy is looking pretty bad the way this chart's looking. Amazon, we talked about this solid consolidation zone we're sitting in. I'd like to see them revisit these lows around 71. Again, it does. When I say I'd like to see, it doesn't mean like, oh, I hope price goes there so I can buy. It gives me better confidence in the move and understanding, okay, we may be at a good support position to start looking to buy, as opposed to looking and buying here and then, you know, completing more drawdown. So typically I look at major supports and major resistances, and this for me would be a major support right here. This is a support, but I see this as more of a major support, and this will be a good place to begin a DCA, in my opinion, for Amazon, as opposed to, you know, just guessworking this higher zone where we're consolidating right now. This is a solid rejection at the high, not only at the high, also on the rejection of resistance at the high here, right? So your horizontal and your vertical both match as far as the same rejection zone. So anticipation is that price maybe breaks deeper for Amazon. Something bigger is brewing here. I think Amazon's kind of taking the drawdown with Rivian too, so they understand that, and they haven't pulled their investments with Rivian, which is really good. I like to see that. If Amazon were to pull out the whole Rivian partnership thing, I would be a little more concerned with Rivian personally, but as long as they continue to hold that partnership, I'm bullish on both. So we talked about Lockheed Martin. We talked about the breakout. It broke out. It's consolidating. I'd like to see that consolidation continue and another breakout as far as price action looks. So we'll see how this plays out long term. We could see a retest of the lows, right? The longer term trend here. But really, I'd like to see this thing kind of start moving away from this position. Typically, you'll see Lockheed do one of these and then it'll shift away, right? So we've already kind of see that played out. And if it shifts away, that'll be really good. It's gonna be a big move for Lockheed personally. That's what I'd like to see again.
We
Consolidate, shift away.
Is it a good DCA point you think for Lockheed at Martin at the moment?
Yeah, I think this zone, and if it breaks down, you can get back in at the lower zone. But like, I think we're looking for that next breakout,
We've just retested them essentially.
just like all the other ones, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's just at the end of the day, guys, it's about identifying the pattern, right? The pattern, follow the trend, breakout. Follow the trend, breakout. Follow the trend, looking for a breakout. PepsiCo, couple zones I'm keeping an eye on. Currently, I'd like to see price come back down and retest the lows. The way price is looking, looks like it's underneath resistance again. So I'm looking for a retest of the lows here for PepsiCo. And there's potential that this one could continue breaking down or it could consolidate here and break out. I just don't like how price broke out here and then came back into the lows, right? So when you see that, it's almost like an immediate rejection of the market for price to go higher on this. It means that, something is, maybe internally is brewing and we're looking at probably a breakdown structure as opposed to a breakout structure on the way PepsiCo is looking. You don't want to see this big of a breakout and then a move back into previous price.
Yeah, RTX look like they're building, going to be doing the NASA's new spacesuits.
Well, that sounds cool.
Which is Raytheon Technologies.
Yeah, Raytheon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are big. They're really big. Lucid, again, we got the trend low, right? We're hitting a low. We may be able to come all the way back down to like $6. If you guys, what should I buy when it's 12 or 10 or 13? Look, I'm telling you, $6 gets there, buy price. That's where I'll be looking to get into it. And I think this is accumulation phase for Lucid. And I think this thing, is looking at something much bigger than what a lot of people are thinking. Again, Lucid, it's kind of a toss-up too. They only do typically retail cars. They're a little bit overpriced as far as like 100, 120K range. So it has to entice, certain buyers at the end of the day. Total crypto market cap. So again, we had the long-term trend here since 15, held, broke below. I mean, really came back up, retested. I told you guys what? High, low. What are we doing right now? Breaking
playing the range
to the low. We're playing the range, guys. Like you can't get played in these zones and expect price to just remain / continue. Looks very similar to BTC. This is kind of like where BTC broke to its low, consolidate here, and now we're consolidating into the higher and lower range here. So just don't get overly excited. Understand that price is still ranging. There's nothing too crazy going on right now in the overall perspective of crypto. Buy these ones that are down, guys. Like if they're down big, I'm not talking about something that went from, the bottom of this market and jumped up to like, 20x its money and now pull back 5x. Like, okay, I need to get into that one. No, buy something that's rolling the floor. I was looking for an information on the Dow Jones. We'll see how this plays out. We got the lower highs here. Man, these lower highs look nasty, guys. Like, I don't know. Like, this almost looks like it wants to do something like that. Not up, but like, it looks like it wants to go deeper. It really, really does on the Dow. Again, the lower trend's strong, right? The lower trend is very strong. Price action looked to be trapped here. Look like it broke out, but now we're kind of in that breakdown zone. We already BMS the high. So you got your breaking market structures already occurred right here. We came back up, retest, came back below the breaking market structure. Really, we're just looking, I think, the free fall at some point. And
there's no bottom landing there at all.
Yeah, there's nothing there for support. We can look at horizontal supports and be like, okay, we have a little bit of support here, a little bit of support here, but like the major support's like all the way down here. It's not looking good for Dow. And that happens with Dow, the whole market's screwed. I'll tell you. And then a lot of my validations / invalidations go out the window. We're gonna go to much lower lows than what people think. And I take these blue chips more of a signal, guys, as opposed to like, oh yeah, that's, you know, if this happens to this, nothing else is going to happen to anything else. No, if the Dow Jones goes down or the SPY goes down, like I'm talking, the whole market's going to feel that.
Yo. Open. Yeah.
So EOS, man, I really wasn't hoping or anything, but I wanted to see it come back up and retest these highs. It rejected these lows. Big rejection back down. I'm not in the red on this position. Should have took profit. My own fault. At the end of the day, I didn't take profit on this one. Looks like it rejected right over here. Support, resistance. I should have saw the resistance a lot quicker, but you know, coming back down. I'll continue to buy in the EOS. I think it's still in that bullish momentum playing out on the bigger time frames. We got a bullish momentum there. And then we have a smaller bullish momentum over here, right? And that's our double bottom bounce. So, you know, EOS could come all the way back down. Well, as it continues on this time frame or this slash momentum, it's continuing to get heavy buying. The deeper and deeper it goes. Again, we talked about that. That's usually looking at a bullish reversal.
Looks like it's ready for its third touch and take off, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Yeah, I'm continuing to watch. I think it's going to be a good one. We got a big move on the VIX. I kind of told you guys we'd consolidate. We did consolidate. We held. VIX pushed up high. I'd like to see another push into this high zone right here. And then if we catch another rejection, great. We should see some relief in the market. If we break above this zone, this is a key zone I'll be watching, guys. It'll be this 35 zone. If we start getting above that and closing candle body closes above it, substantially, like holding above it, no in betweens, but above it, like the VIX could really rip. And if the VIX rips like it typically does, like this is a massive market crash. So it's something to keep an eye on. Not saying it's going to play out, but it's definitely something we shouldn't ignore, right? We got this nice breakup, bullish wedge really playing out right here. Look, that's really what I'm seeing here.
That's relentless, isn't it?
Yeah, it hasn't given up, and I don't think it will. So we'll see how that plays out. EDU, we talked about this. I even threw it on a fib. We rejected right on the 50, kind of holding a little bit. You know, it's good potential. It comes back all the way back to here. 786. I think this is going to get bearish really quick. China education system. Cadena, kind of in that trapped price range. Again, we're at the lows. So if you're looking to buy, this is where you buy, sell and buy and sell, at least until it breaks. And then if it breaks, you know, we'll be looking for the lower positions. All right, going into Apple. Again, guys, I think Apple looks disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. I think Apple is consolidating the high. Like we need to ignore all the BS smaller time frame stuff going on with Apple. Apple is consolidating the high, and I think it's looking for a big move. There is a selling ceiling on Apple. And once this really kind of settles in, we're going to see a big rotation out of Apple into something else. And I think Apple's going to get obliterated personally. And some of you will be like, oh, you're dumb if you know Apple and stuff like that in stocks. And believe me, I sound stupid to myself saying that out of my own mouth. But I know how Apple plays, guys. I'm not dumb.
If they don't win the AR game, they're stuffed.
But the way the chart looks, like the chart is just telling me a whole nother situation. Like this looks really bad the way they're consolidating the high. And you got to look at it from this perspective, straight across in price. Hot, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. And the highs keep getting lower, which means buyers are becoming more and more less interested in buying into these rallies, in which case price, you know, to entice new buyers has to come lower. So we have to look at these lower supports here and not ignore that. The Qs, let's get into QQQ. Another ranging asset. Again, nice sell-off, just like Google. It's in a stair step. It's at the high. It's going to come down all the way down to the low, in my opinion. You got the trend breakout. So trend breakout. They're freaking out, you know, thinking that, oh, it's up only from here. It's going to hit the trend and bounce. No, it's going to come back down to the low. And then it's going to continue to play the range for right now. All right, moving into algo. Again, like I said, algo is at the lows. See? So if you're bullish on algo, this is where you buy.
That's a solid floor.
Starbucks, we talked about this. I think Starbucks is consolidating the high, and I think they're looking to come down. I missed the original peak, messed up, got a little too early on this one, but I think I'm gonna, I did get a little bit repositioned here, but I might add to that position right here. Really, I think we're here on the bigger scheme of things, and I think we're gonna come down hard. This is a trend right here. Like this is a big drop, guys. Big drop. And I identified the left shoulder head and the right shoulder over here. Trend high. Boom. Drop back down. It's still bullish, but we have a long way to come down, right? It's a long way to come down. It's a good profit taking position here. And really, I think that, we're probably sitting around 70 something dollars in probably the next couple months.
Is that
It's gonna be
lagging
one of
the
these.
housing market?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. You got to consider too, they built a bunch of stores in China, and if China doesn't end up playing out for everybody, a lot of these places that did that are going to get wrecked. Gold, we talked about this. We got the drop on gold. We're kind of consolidating the high. Personally, I think we're going to come back down. I think this is it for gold. Like I would not be buying gold where it sits. Personally, could I be wrong? Sure, could break all the way at this $2,000 range, but this is like the cap right here.
Hope it comes down. I was planning on getting engaged.
Yeah. If it doesn't, it's just there's plenty of other things you could play, so there's no reason to get into it. ICP coming back down pretty hard. We're right back in that $4 range. This has been a notorious range for ICP. Internet computer, for those you don't know. I don't see us getting out of this range. Really, I think we're gonna fall out at some point, and we're gonna hit a lower low, and that's where you should really be looking to get into this one. You have a pretty good downtrending trend right here on the overall, and if price
Thanks.
really comes down, you're looking at $1.23.
Being bought up though, isn't it? Look
Yeah,
before that last
you got
buy,
a
it really
you got a
stopped being
solid
bought up.
inverse, right? So you got a bearish div playing against the downturn. It's just that this massive rally is going to cool down, right? And wherever that cools down on this trend is where I'd be looking to buy. So you could technically pay the RSI trend of wherever price is in that position. I think from this one.
So $4 is not. I mean, isn't that a good price though?
Yeah, I would still buy it for.
Because that seems like the floor when you look at the chart
Yeah, if
overall.
you look at it from a horizontal perspective, that does look at the floor. You're right.
But it seems kind of. But you think it really will go to 2?
I think over time, like if all these other things that we're discussing, the way the Dow looks, the way S&P looks, and everything else, like if all those come to fruition, we will see $2. Just like
Basically
we will
when-
see below $10K BTC
Oh, okay.
if all that comes to fruition, right? Again,
Oh.
it has to come to fruition at the end of the day. These are just me evaluating the market. It doesn't mean it will come to fruition.
Yeah. 15K was your. I mean, that was the double bottom, but it could go lower to 10K, and that might happen. $2 of ICP could happen.
Oh,
Put a buy
yeah.
order in on Binance. They'll wick it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah, if we look at Woo here, Woo's it hit its high. Look, you can't catch these highs and lows any easier, guys. Look at this. Woo is notorious for this staying trapped here. So they could bounce back up and play this high again. Again, it would just be another short, in my opinion. Long here, short here. So basically it.
This is the gaming token.
Yeah, this is Woo off Tether. So
Is that a DEX?
it's Woo Network. That's what it is.
It's the gaming
Okay.
coin, right? It's like the one you're bullish on, one of those gaming ones.
No. This is a zero.
Oh,
fee
the
deep
exchange.
liquidity
Never mind.
token.
That was a different one.
Yeah, it's an exchange
Yeah.
token.
You're not bullish on this one.
Well, this is a CEX.
Oh, okay.
So-
Centralized. Okay.
Yeah. They do have a DEX too, which is Wolfie, but this is the CEX token. Again, these CEX tokens will see price action regardless, but you get what I'm saying. I do watch a lot of centralized exchange tokens, just to kind of watch and see like whether they're
Yeah.
being manipulated or anything like that.
Even
'Cause-
Max Capital's seen a decent move.
Yep, OKX has seen a massive move. That's one I'd
Next
steer
global.
away from. Block, we talked about this. I think they're going to round out of this position. I think Block's still good. amplify transformal data. It's an ETF, just FYI. DXY. We talked about this. It looks like they're unable to breach the high here. This is why I had this box originally. They were
good.
breaking and they fell back under. So really the dollar could fall back here. Definitely could fall back. This could be basically a consolidation zone for the dollar. So you have to be careful here. All right. Moving into FTM. So Phantom. I kind of identified this way ahead of time for you guys. Double bottom, right? Into a lower high, right shoulder, head, left shoulder. I think they fall over from here and break the neck and come back down to the lows here for Phantom.
That's the Phantom Foundation selling into you.
Basically.
Is this one you're picking up at 4 cents?
Yeah, I'll buy Phantom at 4 for sure. It'll definitely
what-
happen.
What's another good price? Maybe 15, or is that too high?
I think if you get back down to this neckline, you're gonna break.
Okay.
Yeah, so like buying into the breakdown wouldn't be a good idea.
Only if
Normally,
it goes to 4 cents, you would buy it.
I'd buy it.
uh,
I reckon Phantom's going to run hard.
yeah, I
After
think
crazy
Phantom
alpha,
overall is
but
good. 100%.
They've got a really good treasury.
I think they got some big bag holders in there that are looking to get out, and I'll pick up their bags. It's fine. So we talked about Cardano. We had the obvious rejection of resistance was support. I'm looking for Cardano to follow the trend up and kind of hit the slow. And you're probably like, well, there's nowhere else. You're not hitting anywhere else. How do you know it's a trend? I took the trend based off the angle here, right? So if you take it on a lower time frame, on something like the weekly and so on and so forth, this is a solid support right there. And that's where I'm looking for price to come back to, that same support. If it holds here, this will be very bullish for me. I think this will be the low of the position. Again, that price zone has gotten higher ultimately, but it would also match up with my thesis of price coming down to this liquidity zone. So
How do
there
you
was a
feel
couple
about
different factors
Cardano?
there.
This is a project.
Oh, boring.
Yeah,
Very boring.
yeah.
I don't think they do enough to entice buying pressure. Again,
Do you
'cause
think they're,
all this is about a game of momentum at the end of the day.
Do you think they're just too conservative?
Very, yes. Very. Do I think that they won't win long run? Sure. But if you're in the game for long run, hey, that's your pick, at the end of the day.
Yeah, the
Uh,
DEXs haven't done well because the network traffic's down.
Yeah, definitely. Curate, I took the high here, guys. Like it was a pretty obvious one. I think I told you guys this. Maybe I didn't, I don't know. I think I did in one of the meetings, but I took the high based off the previous high. So I was kind of expecting a rejection here. And it did do that. It's coming back down pretty fast. Probably come down to this lower 4 to 3 cent zone. Ultimately, though, I am bullish on this. I think this is kind of your consolidation zone. Regardless. And I think Curate overall is a good project. If you look into it. Samsung. We talked about this. Where should I buy? Where should you
Now,
buy? Now. If you want to get into Samsung. Yes.
On the trend.
On the trend. So if you're interested, this is your time to buy. This is not how much Samsung costs. This is in Korean dollars, by the way. Velis. What do we see?
triple floor.
Triple floor. Looks pretty solid to me. You got a nice trend upwards. It's got a bullish div with a triple floor. You get a nice building structure here on the stochastic, a little bit overbought on stochastic still. But I think overall, we may continue to range here, but this is the ideal position to be looking to buy if you're looking to get a Velis.
So that what was that, 2 cents? That was around 2.
Yeah, 2 cents.
It could go
So-
lower, but you would start buying now.
Yeah, you gotta buy supports. That's basically it. So what I'm always trying to tell you guys is like anything could go lower, just like anything could go higher. But if you're looking to price into a position, you can allocate whatever percent you want at each position, right? But you should only be buying supports. That's it. And you
Yeah.
should only be selling resistances.
Well,
That's
when I was asking, I was looking at when you were showing Velis. I guess I was asking for long term. Right now would be a good buy for long term.
Yeah, I mean, we're in price discovery because we're breaking down with no other previous price below us.
Yeah.
So, price could always go lower, but I don't know where that lower is until price proves itself, right?
Yeah.
AKA consolidates in that zone.
I mean,
So
right now would not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, now would be a great idea of where it sits, but could it break lower? Sure. I'm just,
Right.
it
So
depends
have
on
a-
how you feel about the project, whether you've researched the project, whether you looked into the project.
Right.
Let's look at AVAX real quick. With stocks, it's a lot easier because you can look at money on the books and all that stuff like that. So it's a lot different, right, than crypto. Crypto is more about speculation, unless they provide the information. Whereas stocks is way easier. You can see exactly what their allocations are, cash to assets and so on and so forth. Right now, cash heavy companies are very attractive, in my opinion. Can you look at House? Yeah, I'll check out House. I don't know. I don't think we got to ETH at all. I don't even know if I have ETH on there. Maybe I do. Let's look at ETH. I know a lot of people like to play ETH. What's that?
I was gonna say you did get to BTC ETH, but not the ETH by itself.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like to play ETH, but I'm telling you guys, like, it's just risk to reward. It's just not worth it. Not with the unlocks, the staking, all the other crazy stuff going on there, and the holding positions are pretty nuts on that one, man. Just being real. I mean, hey, they practically made it all the way back up to macro trend highs and rejected, right? You're basically playing the upper range. You already fell back once. And really they could come back up again, which will be my expectations. Try and hit the macro trend high, pretend like they're going to break out, and then that turns into an M. We do have a trend higher here. So if you were bullish on this, for instance, and they broke down, you could buy this trend, right? But I mean, it all depends on how you feel about ETH. I think ETH is way overpriced, personally. The way I see ETH, I'll give you guys my perspective on ETH. Let's go clear this whole chart. What do you guys see there?
Bear flag.
Nope. What is it? Starts with a P. It's a pennant. Pennant. So how a pennant works. Does anybody know how a pennant works?
The direction it usually comes in at is the direction it'll leave.
Typically, yes. So what you're looking at directionally for a pennant is you're looking at price to typically come in and exit the same direction. So it came in this direction, it consolidates, and then it comes out the same direction it started. So that's how pennants usually work. Now, what should the breakdown be? Well, it's going to be your high to your low. And then you're going to take that. And that's going to be typically what your breakdown is going to be. So if we take our high to our low and we run our breakdown across, that is where price should go on Ethereum. Make sense?
Can you go back to Bitcoin quickly after this? Just to see the shape of that. So it's okay. It's completely different.
Yeah, Bitcoin's a little bit different in the way that it broke, and the way it sits.
They're broken correlation, really.
Yep, they're correlating separately for sure. But
Yeah.
Ethereum looks more like a hopium chart, whereas Bitcoin looks like, there's potential for a bottom here.
But it's building, yeah. It's you got an expanding wedge
Yeah, this is more of a bullish play.
range. Yeah.
And then whereas Ethereum is more of like a pennant, play. And I mean,
Yeah.
really, you could even take it the same perspective as Bitcoin, for instance, right? You could take your lows and you can run your highs. And if you look at it from that perspective, let's go here. Let's angle this up a little more. Now you're sitting a little bit better,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah. It's just floating in its range.
yeah. ETH is at its highs, like high highs, much higher than Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
even if ETH were to push up to like that 18, 19K range, like I would expect a big spillover to happen from that. And if you look at it, that range lines right up with where I basically pointed out, right?
It's very much
Brings it to the-
lagging.
Yes. Brings it to the
And it-
bottom of the channel, which lines up with the horizontal support. And keep in mind, this is where price pumped. Look. And if you look across, this is where price got supported at this peak. Like there's a lot of indication in the zone. There's also a lot of liquidity sitting right here.
It's almost like USDC just held that up, isn't it?
Could be.
Before it
So-
goes boom.
This is a pretty dangerous one to be trying to play here, personally, on a bigger time frame perspective, right? Like I'm not feeling it on a bigger time frame. It's just not one of those picks that I would tell people, hey, you should be actively looking to get into this position. It's not there for me.
If it hits that higher range, that it's a definite short, isn't it?
Yeah, if it can come up and hit this higher, like I said,
That's got to be a short for sure.
it could even jump up to like 2K. I would short that thing and just leave that short open. I just wouldn't even bother with it. I think
I
this
don't know
thing's gonna get
anyone
trashed.
around me not feeling the heat of just lifestyle at the moment. So I just don't see that the money's there to push it.
Correct. Yeah, retail's not really in that position at the moment. But yeah, this is what I see for Ethereum, for those who asked. All right, let's get into Oust, OUST. Show whatever quick.
It's so obvious, isn't it?
And this is recorded, guys. I'll put it on the channel and send it over to you guys later. You guys can review it later. Let's see here. Ooh, that looks nasty. Not gonna lie. Weekly. I mean, it's got a range. Let's see.
Is that a
It's
triple bottom in its range though?
It's more like an uptrending bottom with a higher uptrending top.
Is it? Could that be more of a bearish divergence going on there? Except the momentum's increasing.
Yeah, momentum's increasing with it, so that's a
Yeah.
hard call. I mean, if you were looking to buy ideally, if I were looking at this from any perspective from liquidity, this would be the zone 2 buy. But you know, there's potential to see breaks too. It looks like it's got the momentum to match the price.
Yeah,
So that's a pro, right? That's a pro.
that could be a buy.
It could be a buy. It could be a round off move here and a bigger
risky
move
one.
up. So the way I'd see this, or I'd play it, is I'd play it to the highs from the lows. And it looks like something like this, right? So if price rants back up off this, however long it takes to get back up here to the high, it could be 267, 270, or it could be sooner, which case it'd be 230, 240, right? However long it takes to play is how high it would go. But it looks like a broadening wedge in a sense too, right? So a broadening wedge is something like this where volatility gets out of control, but typically it comes back down more after it's done. This is really a difficult one to depict here. The fact that they keep revisiting the lows, no matter how much push they can get out of here, is a little bit concerning. But again, the RSI is matching the price, so I can't really deny that as far as price goes. And we're getting up to the 50, and really, if they can get above the 50, make a significant move above the 50, come back and find support on the 50, that could be a nice build-up move. That could send it pretty high, right? Now where would I be looking for resistances? Well, I wouldn't play specifically out the channel. I'd be looking for A, which is where they came back through. And then I'd be looking for B up here, which is where I'd be looking for the next move to maybe try and retest, and that would match the move over here. And then, you know, if they continue pushing, I'd be looking for C right here. And if they can get up to here, I would be expecting price to try and, you know, remain between here or remain between here. But this is where I would expect this to kind of signify A. This was the bottom, and now we're consolidating up here. So now we might be looking to level back up.
If you were to take a position on this, Will, like take a gamble on it, with as far as starting to remove your liquidity, what percentages would you be looking at those resistance levels?
Honestly, like I'd be looking to take out majority, probably 90. And then if it pulls back, shows support, maybe a re-entry, right? Back at support. And then, and not with the whole 90, obviously. I'm not going to give the market back my money.
No.
I would probably be looking to allocate the same amount here, right? And trying to capitalize the same way on the next move up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when you say majority, you like take 80, 90%.
Yeah. I'd be looking at like probably about 90%, maybe 80% if I'm feeling lucky. Let some of it ride. You just essentially want to get out with your initial and some profit at minimum, if not most profit. I like to take most profit because there's always another play. I don't need to keep playing the same thing over and over and over again.
Keep life interesting.
Yep, exactly. I just search the depths of the stock market for something else to play if I feel like I'm getting overly bullish on one.
Creeping around in the shadows.
Yeah. Whenever you've won, a good method to take as a new trader. Whenever you've won a trade on an asset, move to another one. And it will keep you from getting directional bias on a specific asset. And do that until you get to the point where you become basically emotionless when it comes to the stock or the crypto, and you take profit religiously. And then from there, you can start, you know, kind of playing the same ones and you won't feel emotional about it.
That's alpha right there. That's great advice, Will. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's really a really good start for a lot of new traders, because a lot of new traders, what they do is they tend to play a coin. It gives. They get emotional about it. They get tied to it, and then or a stock or whatever. You know, I say coins because I talk about a lot of crypto, but any type of asset, they like to play it over and over and over again, and then they get emotional about it and they get tied to it. And they're like, no, it's up only. It's up only.
And you become a cheerleader for the stock.
Yeah, you become a cheerleader as opposed to, you know, coming in to take liquidity. You're there to make money, not to cheer for a specific stock at the end of the day. This is why I like when you get Tesla bulls and a lot of, and again, I'm not really trying to pick on Tesla specifically, but when you get people that look almost cultish in the way they speak about specific stocks or crypto or anything else, it's not a good look, because it tends to be that they'll be wrong more often than they'll be right, because they want to feed on your want and your hope, as opposed to telling you the truth about where price action can actually go.
Would that apply to Hex?
It applies to any meme stock, especially. Those are the biggest cults.
I reckon Hex is going to crash hard when Pulse comes out.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't like Hex, guys. Like, I'm not calling you out if you like Hex and telling you you're a cultist. I'm telling you, like, a lot of people that just sit there and all day, well, imagine if you had Hex, imagine if you had Bitcoin, imagine if you had, imagine if I had $1 million, imagine if I had a Ferrari. Like, come on, dude. Like,
I see those tweets all the time, like Hex. There's always Hex people.
That's just the algo playing on what you pay attention to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And the typical we'll be laughing at you when we're sitting at this price, you know. Like,
yeah, we'll be laughing. Oh, look. Yeah, the laughing at you, the memes, you know, oh, look, bears are just dumb. They don't know how price works. Bears, bulls. It's like, dude, none of that shit matters. It's all BS at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you see the price projections that they're looking at, and you just actually multiply the market cap out and see how much money they're actually talking about. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. When people start speculating $200,000 Bitcoin, it's like, bro, let's get to 30,000 first.
Well, you want to
Like,
see
come
the
on.
total cryptocurrency market start increasing before that happens, because at the moment we're only playing with the same half bucket of water.
Yeah, it's been a rinse and repeat, and they keep putting it in, taking it out, putting it in, taking it out. Watch, it's literally the total market cap keeps going up and going down in the same zone.
But
It's
you've just
washing out.
identified, you've identified with a lot of charts here where they're pushing all the money in, because that total market cap hasn't moved much, and you've already shown these ones are down, these ones are up. Like there's an inverse.
Mhm.
So you've pretty much shown us where money's been, where it's holding at the moment, and where they're going to push it to.
Basically, think of it like a bucket of water, right? But you never put more water in. You just swish it
Mhm.
around. That's it. That's all you're doing at the end of it. You're just swishing that bucket of water around.
Yep.
And then people are like, oh my gosh, there's so much water. No, it's the same amount of water, just moving.
Yep.
There's been no change in the level of the water. It's
And
just
it's liquid.
sloshing around. Yeah.
Liquid assets.
That's why they call liquidity. Think about it. Liquidity, because money moves and flows. It ripples, it sloshes, it waves, it does lots of things just like water. That's how you have to identify it. That's why momentum works, because when your ripples turn into sways, turn into waves, and then turn into typhoons.
Just like the tides.
Just like the tides. Exactly. And sometimes there's a full moon. But what happens when that full moon goes away? The tides recede. Think about it, guys. The deep conversation we're having here. That's how liquidity moves. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's a zero-sum game that a lot of people, they like to play and pretend like they know what's going on, but they have no clue. I identify this stuff all the time. Again, it's not a pat on my back. I tell you guys I do it because I don't think I'm the smartest person in the world, guys. I really don't. And if that's the case, then I can tell you, you can definitely do this 100%. I mean, you guys see, like I make mistakes on my sentences and my punctuations and everything else all the time.
Well, let's not be politically correct now.
And I can tell you, like, I do get poked and prodded for it, but I'm able to take it. I'm able to take it. At the end of the day, though, like, I'm not perfect, just like most people aren't, but I can still make these calls. And I'll get up here and I'll tell you guys firsthand when I'm wrong. And I called SI. Like, look, I was wrong, 100% wrong on SI. And I think at this point they're bankrupt. I think they're done.
Talking about Silvergate.
Yep. I made a bad move on that one.
What did you
Really
do?
bad
What
move.
you did mention it. What happened?
I bought some of their stock, thinking that, there's going to be some kind of reversal or bailout, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Also, you don't think they're going to bail out Silvergate or Silicon Valley?
Well, once Silicon Valley went down, I was like, oh shit, we're screwed. Because I thought only one bank, right? So you could see a bailout with one bank having an issue. But once you start getting a contagion where it's like 2 and 3 and 4, and it's like, they're not going to bail all those out. They're just going to let them die.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's just
Just
too
the
much money.
beginning.
You took a
this-
calculated risk, knowing that it wasn't 100% guaranteed, and we're all still going to continue to do that from time to time. Like,
Yeah.
But if
Exactly.
it moved the other way, then like your risk to reward would have been like, whoa.
It would have been way up. I was
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at it
and
for
that's
percentages.
I guess talking about Silicon Valley Bank, do you think USDC is in trouble? Would you sell if you had any?
I don't think USDC is in trouble. So here's what I think happens. I think USDC is able to fulfill their money, right? And I think Coinbase covers it. The problem is operating hours, right? So Silicon Valley and a few other banks, Silvergate and a couple other ones, were providing liquidity around the clock,
24 hours a
24/7.
day.
Now on weekends, you won't have that liquidity unless it's being provided by Coinbase specifically, in which case they need to become a bank to be able to do that, which case it's probably not going to happen. But
Does that mean weekend volatility will fall through the floor?
correct, it will be manipulated hard, in which case nobody will want to play with USDC, in my opinion, unless they can find another bank, right? Unless they can find another bank, could happen. So
What about?
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
So again, my perspective is that we're looking at getting this thing, getting this thing taken care of one way or another, but I wouldn't
Yep.
be playing in USDC because of
Yeah.
what's going on until they can get it figured out.
I put my
Can I
money
ask
in
a-
DAI, and I guess it got affected because I think 50% of DAI is based on USDC. I didn't know about that part. I wish I knew that. I didn't know it was based on USDC,
Yeah.
but part of it.
Not a lot of people
Just-
do. But yeah.
Just to break this completely, I've got a couple of, I'm just staking. Well, I've got liquidity that I'm farming, obviously, like in DeFi, and I do have a couple of USDC pairs. Would I be best to break those now while are we still below peg? I haven't even
We're like
checked.
96 cents.
96. So if that happened again yesterday, I should have broken that and sold my pair because I would have ended up with more USDC and then just put it back in again the next day and yielded more. Would that have been a good play?
No,
Because
your
I've
USDC
essentially-
would have been down.
Yeah, USDC would have been down, but that would have given me more USDC when I broke it.
Well, I think the pools fluctuate with the USDC, right? So if USDC is your
Yeah.
pool, then that pool
Yeah.
will actually drop in size if
Yeah, but if
USDC
I-
goes down.
Yeah, if I broke the pair while it was down and then I held it, it would go back up and then I would have more of the actual crypto that I was hoping to yield. Does that make sense? Because of the way the impermanent
You're
loss
saying
works.
break it while it's low and then let it ride it
And
back
then-
up and then reinsert it.
and then pair it back in.
But what I'm telling you is like let's say your pool is 10 million, right? Well, if USDC drops down to 80 cents, your pool is now 8 million.
Yeah.
So your value of USDC has actually dropped with the value of USDC. So
Yeah,
you
I'd
wouldn't
end up
gain
with more
anything.
USDC tokens than I ended up with the other when I break it. Is that right?
No, you would have ended up with the same amount.
Yeah. Okay.
So there would have been no arbitrage in that play.
Okay. Yeah.
The arbitrage would be having cash and buying USDC.
Cash. Buying USDC. Yeah.
And the issue with that is you are taking heavy risks based on no fundamentals, based on no price action other than that she's getting right.
Yeah. So I'm gambling.
Like you're gambling. And if you're gambling and saying, hey, I won, I bought USDC, haha, everybody else an idiot. It's like, no, you're the idiot because you're buying stuff with no fundamental reason.
Yeah. So just because I saw it all, like I got in a bit late and saw it all moved, and I didn't move anything. I touched nothing. I didn't sell anything. I didn't buy anything. I just held the position. So
holding the position at that point, it made more sense. And the only reason I would even say it made more sense in that aspect is because it's not an algo play. I told you guys from the beginning that Luna was going to be a failed project because it was an algorithmic stablecoin. You can manipulate the hell out of an algorithmic stablecoin. What does USDC do to rebalance its pools?
They back it with the dollar.
Not only that, what do they do specifically? It's the same thing USDT does.
Burn.
Sure.
They burn and they mint to match liquidity.
Oh, they're
So-
a money printer.
They are a money printer. So that's why you don't have to worry as much. It's just that
And
there
that's-
will be manipulation in price if they can't find somebody to 24-hour fund their
And
currency.
they can do that because they have a bank that is got permission to print money, to loan money. Yeah. Is that why?
Well, no. So them burning. So think of it like
Can I
this.
just ask you,
Go
can
ahead.
I put it just another way? Like, so you go and borrow 500,000 from the bank,
Mhm.
like your normal retail bank. That bank then prints that money. They don't actually get that money from the central reserve. It's not actually their money. They print it, and then you repay it, and they make their profit via the interest you pay. But they actually then have to burn as you repay. They have to burn that money. Is that right? To get it back in circulation.
No. So I'll explain it. So how it works is it's like you have, we'll say your stablecoin, you have like 40 billion in stablecoin, right? You need to have 40 billion allocation in cash. So if say on the weekend, for instance, you get 2 or 3 or 4 billion that sells off in USDC, you need to burn the 2 or 3 or 4 billion. So what they were doing, rather than burning the 2 or 3 or 4 billion, and this is how the arbitrage occurred, at least what I think happened, what they were doing is they were just getting loans from the bank to make up the 2 or 3 or 4 billion.
Yeah.
So that way they would have it available if somebody else came along to rebuy that 2 or 3 or 4 billion.
Yes. Yeah.
And because the
money from
bank
the
is
bank was printed, yeah.
closed, well, the money from the bank is just like a loan if you were to go get a car loan or anything else,
But
right?
it's-
So
yeah.
it could be printed. It just depends on the bank. It could be assets they hold. It could be printed assets. So,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, that's the irrelevant part. That's more on the bank than USDC. So,
Yeah, but essentially they diluted their pool
well,
because they couldn't get the funds.
the pool is diluted right now because
Yeah.
they couldn't get the funds. And they
Mhm.
can't get the funds because the bank is no longer loaning to them 24 hours a day, let alone at all anymore. So,
Hence Silvergate's effect on the market.
so they don't want to burn their currency and make it look like they have less USDC than they do. So they left it at the current amount, 36 billion or whatever, but really they're probably 4 billion down in cash. Right. So the valuation of USDC is balancing based on the actual dollars that are backing the currency, and they're not willing to burn it back down because it'll look bad.
Which was an oversight because now they've lost trust.
Now they've lost trust because they weren't willing to do that. And this is just my perspective on why they made that.
It makes
choice. Could
perfect
be
sense.
wrong.
That just makes perfect sense. That's
Yeah. So they had an over diluted pool with not enough liquidity to support the over diluted pool.
and it could have been a bad actor playing against them because they knew that suddenly now they don't have their 24-hour 7-day funding.
I don't think it was a bad actor. You know what I think it was? I think
Just
it's
the
just a
market.
regular market, and then you got some panic selling involved in that too, right? So you got a mixture of regular market price action movement, and you got some panic selling, and they're not able to keep up anymore because they don't have a bank to add the liquidity they need, so they don't have to lower their amount of USDC.
How
I
shit
have
are
a
their
question.
analytics?
I have a question about that then. So then shouldn't they be over collateralized then?
So
Yeah.
they are, and I want to discuss that too. And Theodore, you're right. They did do some burns, but they didn't do enough burns. Otherwise, we'd be pegged bet at $1 right now. So again, it comes down to they're trying to rebalance it to make it not look so bad. But if they were fully rebalanced, we'd be sitting at $1 right now. They'd have enough burns to do that. So they are fully collateralized, and technically, I saw somebody post this the other day. They have the equal amount of liquidity on the side as what exists in USDC right now.
I said over. I said over.
Yeah, I'm in over. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have an equal amount of dollars in backlog as what exists in crypto. Does that make
But
sense?
that's sitting in the conventional banking system.
It's
so it didn't
sitting in a
show up on
conventional banking
on the
systems.
crypto charts.
Correct. So the problem is they can't buy the missing dollars because the conventional banking system is closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why they made a post that said, we'll fix all this. We have all the money to back it Monday.
They were hungry, but the drive-through was shut.
Correct. So that's the other part of this scenario that didn't happen. That's why I think they will repeg, because they have the money already there. They just can't access it until the bank's open. And they're not willing to burn the liquidity down to what actually exists in the market. Does that make sense?
They didn't print like Luna did, so they couldn't cause long-term damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Luna got played on because it was pegged to its own token. So they played one side of the coin on the token, and then they played the other side of the coin on the stable and kept pushing both pools down by doing that. And that's why you don't want an algorithm.
They minted like shit after getting rid of all their collateral.
They minted it to the floor to try and keep the dollar held up.
Yep.
And that's how the algo was played.
But their Bitcoin was diminishing at the same time, so they couldn't
So-
float it back on Monday morning. They couldn't rebalance it.
Right. Theodore, that's a great question. It's kind of goes back to like what I was saying. they don't want to burn down to the dollar amount. They need to stay liquid in case somebody wants to buy USDC. What do you think happens on the weekend when they can't access or mint, right? Because they can't mint if they don't have dollars backing. If they can't mint and they have exactly the right amount of USDC to the right amount of dollars, and somebody wants to come in and buy $5 billion USDC, it's not available. Why is it not available? Because they can only mint what they are personally backing. So if they
It's like watching an ICO chart that there's actually no liquidity available. It's all sitting in the ICO. But you have the chart, you go to the DEX and it says no liquidity available.
Yeah. If somebody were to come in and try and buy the amount missing, then they wouldn't be able to. But the problem with this whole scenario is if somebody buys into it, they're buying the dollar for much cheaper than what everybody else did when they repay. So it's going to be an arbitrage situation where you're going to see, if they can't access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where you're going to see USDC on the weekend just fly down and then get bought back up.
There was some big buys going on.
Yeah. But do I think you should take a whim on those arbitrage? Hey, if you go to the casino in Vegas and you throw your money all on black, go for it. All right. But like at the end of the day, I think this will turn out bad. And I think people will lose trust in USDC unless they can get backing to keep them afloat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have to have that happen. If they don't have that happen, you're going to see USDC slowly start to lose liquidity because people are going to get out of it and they're going to go into something else because they're going to get tired of getting arbitraged. And they're not going to be able to trade on the weekend.
Are they essentially a hedge fund? You put money in, you're basically providing them with the collateral, they go and invest it elsewhere, and that's how they make their money?
Nope, they're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
They are not allowed. So the only way that they are legally allowed, especially as a stock company, to make money right now is to charge you fees on transactions. And they also have keep in mind, the Coinbase monthly subscription. So that's another way that they're generating revenue. I think it's like $30 a month or something like that, some crazy amount.
Oh, so all those Coinbase fees go back into USDC.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's how they're collateralizing their backing, right? And then anything beyond that is overhead and paying for employees and so on and so forth. So it does a lot more than just that, but yeah, essentially. It's run like a basic company. All the fees are basically split up between the different departments, collateralization, as well as employee payments, as well as bonuses, as well as upkeep of offices, so on and so forth.
Why did the other? I saw every stable coin also depegged. Was it the same idea or something else?
No. So the other coins that depegged were all USDC related in one way or another. USDT did not depeg.
It's the only one that's not based on USDC.
Correct. It has no USDC backing it.
Even BUSD went, I think, maybe 1 cent down, so they probably had a little bit of exposure to it.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of exposure at some point. I mean, a lot of these had holdings in USDC specifically, or were investors of, so they all kind of got wrecked by it a little bit. And really, good.
I can't trust any stable coin. USDT is the only one that's not doing, behind the USDC.
Yeah, and that's what it is at the end of the day. That's why I say always try to stay diversified with your dollars, because you don't want to end up in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I hope that clarifies everything for you guys. I went way over time than what I wanted to because I still got to work my car. But are there any last minute things you guys need or want to chat on, or we good to close things down for today?
I guess.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
No problem.
I guess by the end, but what you're saying about Coinbase, or I mean USDC, is it'll probably get back to normal. It's the same idea as any coin that gets depegged. It just got, the algorithm has to fix it.
No. So it's not an algo, right? It's more they need to provide liquidity, but they aren't physically able to because the banks are closed.
So it's just if this didn't happen on Friday, but if it happened on Monday, this would have been back to normal.
We wouldn't have even had a depeg situation.
Right. Yeah.
During banking hours, keep in mind.
Yeah.
Anytime after banking hours, you're screwed because it's
good. So Friday was the worst. Friday was the worst timing of it.
Yeah, these guys knew what they were doing. They waited until the Silvergate or the SVG play came out, and then they immediately, kind of ran price down. Now, do I think that all of it was some kind of price manipulation? No, I think part of it was market price movement, right? The market's just selling and buying as it does. And when you get a drawdown in the market, you're going to get a selling of stable coins into cash, and that cash is going to go into accounts, and it's not going to come back into the overall market. So now you're going to have an excess of your USDC and not enough liquidity being backed to provide for that USDC. And then the Oracle is going to come in and identify that, and it's going to lower the price of your USDC due to that.
Yeah. I guess what I understood was 3.3 billion couldn't be withdrawn from SVB. So they, that's what caused the DPEG.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think, yeah. Well, yeah, I do think that is it. So like, yeah, if they can't back the collateralized USDC and they're not willing to burn it because they need some available in case somebody wants to buy. And keep in mind, they try to keep afloat the amount of USDC as to the liquidity that is moving in and out of the market. So if they think that, hey, I can get 3 billion on average over a weekend, they're going to try and stay 3 billion positive on USDC, no matter how hard the sell off is. And then what they'll do is they'll just burn down to that 3 billion and try to keep that 3 billion afloat. So you never hit that dollar peg until the banks open.
Yeah. And I guess I saw also a tweet. They said they said we're going to fix the peg by using corporate funds. I saw that as well.
It's just their backing funds. Don't listen to the BS for them. Like, it's just funds
I didn't
that
know
they have to have legally to back their, that's why they're a stock company.
I didn't know what that meant, corporate funds. So I just assumed it's something they have.
Does all this make more sense? Like, I know last night I might have been like not wording it well to you guys, but like, I think this is a better conversation to have, so you guys can understand it a lot better. But
so at the end of the day, it's just wait till Monday.
Yeah, wait till Monday, let it all clear up. You'll get out, and I just wouldn't go back in USDC or anything USDC related at the moment until okay, not at all pooping on USDC, but until they can get their stuff under control, figure out what they need to be doing as far as like keeping that 24-hour transaction volume going, because they have to have that constant liquidity. And it's crazy because it's like USDT is able to do it on their own. And I don't know if they're doing it through a bank or how they're doing it, but they're able to back their assets as well as have, the overhead allocation of USDT that exists. And this is why when people say like, oh yeah, they're just printing BSD, there's no backing of it. The Oracle will recognize if there's not dollars to stablecoin being deposited. So if there's an overabundance of minted tokens, your price of your stable will drop. Just like if there's an under amount, right, which is what happened with USDT last night, it went up to 102. They didn't have enough dollars or enough stablecoin dollars, and there was a lot of buying pressure on USDT. So it pushed the price up on USDT. So you had a selling of USDT to buy into, right? And you had a buying of USDC to sell into. It's arbitrage manipulation in a sense that you can play on. But you have to understand there's risks. There are inherent risks in this situation, because if these markets get stabilized next week and they still aren't able to get that 24-hour volume going, you're going to see the same thing happen next week. And it could be a lot worse, right? Because now people see it, they know how to play it, and they will come in with big money to wash that side of the market.
No, yeah. Because if USDC failed, that would be a very bad thing.
I don't think it'll fail. That's
right, but
literally what
if
I'm
it
saying.
did, like, it would be very, very bad. Like everything would fail.
No, I don't think that. I think USDT holds up the majority of the market. I think it will jack up crypto for a while. Yeah, but I don't think it'll fail.
I mean, isn't that like kind of like a break in the system that Jerome Powell would say? Like that's something that would break.
Jerome Powell don't care about crypto. He'd rather break and fail.
I'm saying it's like what he would say. Like that's kind of like a break in the economy.
Yeah, but there's nobody there to bail them out.
Right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? So that's the way you have to view it. It's all just, if they fail, they fail at the end of the day. There's nobody going to be there to bail them out, and it's not going to hurt Circle. Circle's a stock-owned company, so it's going to be around. I mean, it'll hurt Circle reputation, it'll hurt Circle probably stock price, but it's not going to kill Circle or kill Coinbase. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I always thought they paused the transactions for those for now.
Yeah, Yeah, and that's what they have to do because they're trying to stabilize until they can get the liquidity they need to be able to repay the dollar. Again, they have the money, guys. Like they already posted that they had the money. They showed the liquidity. Like they have double the amount of what exists, right?
Yeah,
So
and
they can input the money to replace whatever's depegged.
they're over collateralized 150%. So they have $8 billion versus $5 billion.
Yeah. They showed their collateralization. Like they're a stock-owned company. You can look at their asset allocations and everything else. Like everything's out there in the open. They can't hide anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I like I said, if it comes Monday, I had USDC, I'd just sell it in the USDT. That's just me personally. You guys can do what you want. Take that information however you want. Just because I'm not willing to get arbitraged every weekend, and I want to be able to move my money fluidly, right? If you're getting arbitraged every weekend, you're not going to be able to move your money when you're down to 80 cents per dollar. And that's the way you guys have to visualize. So think of it like this. When you're at 80 cents per dollar, that means your liquidity pool is down 20%. That means your dollars per USDC is down 20%. And the reason why price rose is because exactly what you said there, Theodore, which was what I was getting to, is because they burned some of their token to get back to a reasonable amount of liquidity to dollar. They still had some available to buy, and that's why it's not back to $1. But they also they're down closer to where their actual liquidity exists versus being way above that amount. So instead of being at 40 billion, they're at 37 billion, but their true liquidity is 35. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. There's nothing to worry about. I think people are panicking on that Twitter convo. Everyone was panicking, saying this is the end, this is bad.
There's always panic, and where does panic happen the most? It happens at the lows, at supports. That's where panic always occurs. When you start getting panic at the highs, then be concerned for a breakout. But what were we getting at the highs? 30K, 48K, bull run.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you see this Monday, you see Bitcoin going up back to like 22K based on the charts.
Good. As long as it stays elevated above 19, it's upside. If it breaks below 18, it's downside. Just put it that way.
Right.
So you can watch for those two scenarios. So you could take a whim here and a long, and you could run it up, or you could wait for the break to the short and run it down. Either one.
Right. Yeah. Well, I get it.
All right, guys, I'm gonna take off. We'll chat later.
Thank you, Will.
Hey, thanks, Will.
Yeah,
thanks.
No worries. All right, I'll post the video later in the night too, just FYI. Okay, so won't be right away because I'm still gotta work on my car, but I'll be on later.
Another amazing Q&A. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Watch your
You guys
knuckles.
wanna- yeah, I'll try to. All right, let's see you guys.